we go now. Here 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 we go now.
Hello and welcome to PUBG Mobile Club Open Wildcard Region. This is of course 2021 Fall Split, and in that the regional finals is where we are at in the journey. Third day. This is going to be commencing third day, which is the second last day for the entire journey for these teams. And of course, the stakes couldn't have gotten any higher. Along with that, a huge big thanks to, of course, our official media partner. That's going to be Nemo.tv. And a huge thanks to you guys as well for tuning in every single day, for supporting these teams. But now, as I just said, the journey is going to get trickier and trickier. I'm going to be your host, caster, analyst, blogger. Joining us, of course, is going to be Ankit to take us through this ride. And boy, it is going to be a fun day is what I'm hoping today. Ankit, what are your expectations from, well, Paradox OCE?
I mean, they really started things off pretty well. The last game itself, they really hit that century mark, and this is going to be the penultimate day because obviously we just went towards a halfway mark. 50% of the total games are done, 50% are still left, and it seems that today the one who will finding themselves in the top 6 will be still remaining, and some teams really need to try really hard in terms of getting in the top 8.
Absolutely, because again, it is going to be a massive undertaking, along with which, when it comes down to the entire saga, there is a humongous prize pool on the line where you're looking at $29,200 that is going to be separated and segregated amongst these teams. But alongside all of this, when Ankit just mentioned the top 6, the top 8, well, today, of course, these teams are going to have to try to get into that top 6, because tomorrow being the final ultimatum day, they have to move on along to get into that first pole position that, of course, Paradox OCE find themselves with the 100 points that they are at. Why? Because the first place holder not only gets the $3,600, but along with that, a slot into PMPL Season 4. And that is going to be a perfect opportunity for these teams to showcase to the entire world what they bring to the table.
Indeed, it is going to be, and how they're going to be doing it. This is the point structure, the cementing, the fort where every sort of buildings are being made. 15 points rewarded to the first team that gets first in this match. Pretty much the same keeps decreasing, and 13 to 16 gets none. Now 1 kill equals to 1 point. We have been talking a lot about this. Some teams really heavily rely upon their skill points. Some really do rely upon those placement points. And talking about those placement points, we have those squad rosters, and straight out of the go, my eye is set upon Team Ronak, because this is one team that has severely and heavily relied upon those placement points. Skill points is where they're just lacking. Maybe it's just there today because they are finding themselves at the 7th position.
Absolutely. Another team to absolutely keep an eye out for is going to be FOD, a team that is finding themselves in the top 8 but have not gotten a chicken dinner thus far. But hopefully today will be a different affair for the side of Face of Death. But alongside that, as we move on along from these teams, Darksyde, another team that do need to be bringing up their gameplay and ante, because it is going to be none other than the prize pool that they ought to be working towards, and getting the better half of that prize pool, well, you need to be climbing up the ladder in terms of the overall ranking. With that, it is going to be Rogue Nation, another team that has been looking really good. So is Illuminate Crew and Godawari Pirates.
Indeed, it is going to be. I mean, eliminate through in patches. They really perform well. All they just need to do is to get all the kills and placement points racked up together. And talking about kills and placement points being racked up, we have Paradox OCE. Yesterday's gameplay, I mean, the start of the regions finals, they were looking off colored. They were on the second half of the chart slowly and steadily. The pace that they have picked up, the momentum that they have built up, they are certainly looking the man and the team to watch out for.
Most certainly is going to be the journey for this team. As we move along, again, we do, of course, see four Godawari fighters right there on the third spot with 2 chicken dinners for themselves. 88 points is what they are, or rather have secured for themselves. Again, the same kind of a performance has been showcased from the side of Royal officials, RF officials as well right there, with 88 points to that team. Talk about synergistic play. 44 placement points, 44 kills for RF officials. And as we move on along from this first page towards the second half of the overall standings, it is going to be a tricky affair because the 8th spot is NEPAL, who find themselves on, of course, with 58 points on the 8th spot with that chicken dinner that is working for them for now. But will it be enough? Because, of course, the teams that are above them are bringing in every single game. They're bringing in a very, very synergistic team gameplay, and that is working for those teams. But eventually, we do see the side of Paradox OCE. Well, that team has certainly showcased in the first, not the first, but the last 3 games pretty much is what I would say, that they yesterday just completely overtook the entire lobbies with Storm, with the aggression that they have showcased.
They got 1 chicken in the game of Sanhok and 1 second finish in the game of Miramar, and that has resulted them finding themselves at the top spot. But Blotter, one thing is really common. I mean, that is really fascinating. The top 4 really don't have much of point difference. 100 is where Paradox OC is standing, and 88 is where RF Official is standing. So the top 4, any of these teams really have the potential to climb there at the top position, and still really looking tricky. But moving on to the second half of the chart, we got the point share equally between the Legend Esports and the Fiat. But enough of talking about overall ranking. Now we need to look upon the head-on-head teams that will be looking to make a mark in today's gameplay by the performance and obviously by the strategic gameplay. And talking about that, I talked about Team Ronak. Now this is one team that will be really eyeing upon to get more and more kills points altogether, but still it is more than what Entity Nepal is standing at this moment.
Absolutely. I mean, Entity Nepal did get that chicken dinner with the 4 players who are still remaining yesterday that we clearly saw. That was again taken over by Storm based on just the fact that they had the numbers advantage in that final zone and circle. But will that sort of a luck-based factor be working for them today? We shall have to find out, because we just saw in the overall rank and Entity Nepal find themselves on that 8th spot. Yes, that is working for them, absolutely, but will it be enough? Because again, the teams above them, especially the likes of Team Ronak, or on the other factor Paradox OCE, who have completely just demolished the saga that was showcased yesterday, is going to be a very, very big threat to take over. Alongside that, again, as I mentioned Paradox OCE, let's move on to the team to watch out for, and a team that is going to be the one that will be the X factor for the day is going to be none other than, of course, once again, Paradox OCE, the team that has been reigning in supreme. And from the side, it is Hazer, once again, has completely decimated. I mean, he showcased yesterday's play with perfect skill, and that, of course, is being showcased right here with the stats that is working in his favor. 2.63 KPN. Wow. I mean, that's disastrous to the entire lobby. And of course, that is going to be not an easy ride, but Paradox OCE are here to make a mark, and that is what they are showcasing. But also another point to bring up is going to be in the initial first day and the first game itself of yesterday, we did see Paradox OCE falter down a little bit. Maybe the lobby will be able to bring up that sort of a play against them. We shall see.
Certainly be the case, but you look about the damage. I mean, G1 is certainly overpassing the damage tally what Hazer is at this moment. That's certainly so. The G1 is the one guy from the side of Paradox OC that is really trying to turn the game and really trying to turn the tide. And talking about that, we need to move on the schedule. That will be certainly setting up the day for today's itself, and then we'll get to see, of course, those Erangels and those Miramars and those Sanhoks in the action, and that will decide obviously the fate of the day for all the teams. Talking about all these teams, I mean, they really have a good chance. They really will be having all those opportunities for today itself.
Absolutely will. With that, let's move on to the schedule. It is going to be the 4-game affair that will be the entirety of the day itself. And talking about the schedule, we of course do start the day off with Erangel, who won 2 Miramar and then Sanhok. And finally, to close the day, it will be Erangel that will be showcased once again. So it is just the customary affair where 2 Erangels, 1 Sanhok and 1 Miramar is the opportunity that these teams are going to be given. And of course, the entire, well, conversation will be What is Paradox going to do this time around? Are they, because yesterday they created a massive lead, not necessarily a lead, but they did showcase some perfect plays, and today they're going to be working towards that lead now. But will the lobby be able to stop them in their tracks, or will there be another team that will be completely overpowering the domination that has been showcased from Paradox? OCE is where the conversation will lead us towards, but it is easier said than done when you've got the likes of course, 4 Godawari fighters who are also part of this entire saga. We have RF officials who are looking really dominating in terms of the play that they are trying to showcase with the synergistic performance that is working from them. On the other front altogether, on towards the back end of the entire leaderboard, it is going to be SCL EnvyUS, it is going to be Darksyde. For them, it is looking like the train has left the platform, and all they can do right now is just try and bring in the best synergistic play that they possibly can. As far as the team synergy is concerned, yes, SCL EnvyUS are part of those fights, but sadly, again, we've spoken about this so many times that they do take on those fights, they do bring in the damage histogram for themselves, but do not end up converting them into kills, and thus do not end up getting those points for themselves. But enough banter, enough stats, let's move on with the game, let's move on with the day, on to Erangel, flight path on our screens.
Indeed, it is going to be the case, as now the flight path has already taken its way from the down south areas of military base towards the area of Mansion, and it ends on the eastern half of this beautiful looking map of Erangel. That means Zerki, Georgopol, Hospital Ruins and cities like Shooting Range, Severny are out of glide. But for the moment, the teams are slowly and steadily moving towards the safe haven, as now Roll officials are moving towards their area of Primorsk, as we have seen in the past. Talk about SCL EnvyUS, they are also moving towards their favorite location downtown, towards the area of Ferrypair and maybe sort of Query Split. But I mean, PUBG Minion will be having a really good day right off the go. I mean, they really didn't have sort of challenge to face, because the flight path is finding and helping them to glide straight into the lap of a military base. As soon as that happens, team will be looking to get all the loot acclimated. But for the moment, Roller Official just made that early drop, and that will be resulting them getting all those loot acclimatized. For this moment, I am still waiting when in the circle that will be playing its course for today, because not much of notorious shift that we got to see in yesterday's gameplay, not sort of much hard shift. It was just those random shift, those hybrid circles, and then it was all an easy affair for Fury X Nepoz that started their day off. Remember them taking down the players of RF officials in that 2v1 affair. But RF officials, I mean, they also did pretty well in terms of the gameplay and the stronghold they held towards this area of, I mean, where the circle actually tended to shift. But talking about circles, we have a northern dominated circle where close to 35 to 30% of the total area is constricted in the oceanic region, where the teams slowly and steadily getting towards that same drop location. It is going to be Team Ronak that has not gone towards the area of Severny on to the north side, but still now they are finding themselves in the area of Zerki, and since they are finding themselves in the area of Zerki, this will be a good chance for them. But right off the go, we are heading towards maybe sort of fight that can erupt towards the area of Milta, where the Fiat 10 is up against to Ixcel. Ixcel in yesterday's gameplay also needed all those important points. They tried to took the fight, they took the fight, but somewhere down the line they did falter. So in order to get all those placement points, and remember there is also the slot, there is money, so a lot of things are on the stake. If Ixcel falter down here, no chances will be given to them, because each and every team will be trying really hard in today's gameplay.
Well, they most certainly have to. They do have to, because today being the second last day of the regional finals, these teams are going to give it all, is what I'm anticipating and expecting from them, from each and every single team that will be on our screens for the entirety of the day. And right here we do of course have the team of Fear 10, which is also going to try and bring in and topple over their opponent, because they do find themselves in the Milta, but along with them Ixcel is also right around the vicinity. And now when it comes to the fight itself, it seems like we've got a two-man split being showcased from the side of Fear 10. That is going to be converted into a completely team affair, because Fear 10 are going to be recuperating with their teammates, and as they do so, Ixcel will most certainly be getting that audio cues, and hopefully will be trying to keep an eye out and of course try and take on this fight. But right now the main point is going to be that they need to get those perfectly utilities set up for themselves, and that is what we are looking at. Druzy right here, Druzy boy, who is getting himself acclimated with some perfectly set up loot, but of course he does need that helmet, he does need a better vest. For now his teammate MVP is looking that much more in a decent affair with level 2 kit all around the corner.
Wow.
But it seems Fear 10 are not interested in any of that. They are not going to be participating in that fight for now. They are going to be working towards getting themselves a better part of another fight, because now, for now at least, their main gameplay is going to be to work towards just getting themselves in a decent spot and not taking on an early fight in the first 4 minutes of the gameplay itself, which is, again, I mean, you cannot dishearten the team from that sort of a gameplay, because that is what this team is showcasing and that works for them, so that's absolutely fine. With that, we move on to the team that is reigning in supreme. That's going to be Paradox OCE on the first spot with 100 exact 100 points total. 56 kills is what this team has been able to achieve for themselves. But on the other front, this team does need to get working that much more, because right behind them is going to be ZeroDeath with 97 points, and below ZeroDeath is going to be on the third spot for Godawari Fighters with 88 points. So a very close affair between the first 4 teams itself, and it all falls down to Paradox OCE as to what sort of a play style will they be showcasing, because they need to be working towards creating that lead and maintaining that first position for themselves.
Team ZeroDeath, I mean, talk about the rotation, talk about the drop into station. Certainly they have left the area of Gutka Split, and rather they have tried choosing the area of Rozok. This is one little adjustment. I mean, this is a little one, but it's really tough to really adjust in these sort of lobby, because you really have those big 15 names that is just ready to pounce upon you and ready to take down you. But till now, Rozok has still been uncontested, and that's the reason, because not often you get to see the flight path trying to cross in around the areas of Gutka Split and those Gutka areas, and you don't get the option to make a move onto the same area. So a good decision from the side of ZeroDeath, and the Ixcel and the players looks pretty much comfortable, because they in all the 2 Erangel, if I'm not wrong, at least in one, they did drop towards the area of Rozok, and certainly that was a consistent gameplay, and just because of that they are finding themselves at the second spot, just 3 points below one team, that is going to be Paradox OC. But as soon as the circle is trying to make and go a shift, it seems that Fury X Nepoz is in sort of rotation, and again they are finding themselves in a closer vicinity where SCL EnvyUS are positioned, and all these rotations are being duly noted by both the teams. All the 4 players from both the teams are in the different vehicles, thus finding themselves in that opportunity. Even if they try to take the shots, they have the option to just pause that vehicle for a moment and then try to take the fight. That can be just one good thing. But as soon as PUBG Minion was trying to cross that bridge, it seemed that now Darksyde are just now trying to pin them down, and it seems that now Ghost was just ready, because both the teams have been jumping towards the same area, one on the military base, one on the Novorupnoi, and both have been taking the same sort of bridge all together. But this time it was PUBG Minion that was really the initiator to make a move, and now since Darksyde has given a lot of sound cues, I mean, it won't be a wise decision to just cross the bridge, making a move from the same area where PUBG Minion has just crossed by.
Well. That is the play that has been showcased from these teams, and SCL EnvyUS, they need to be careful. They need to be better equipped for these fights and be very, very careful in terms of what fights they end up taking. Right here, we do see that this is going to be an opportunity for them to bring in a little bit of a spray against the players of Ixcel as they make that rotation, and it is going to be on point, of course. But again, a kill will not be confirmed as of now. A knock also will not be given away to this team, but it is the play that is being showcased from the side of SCL. On the other front, when it comes to Darksyde, they were the ones who did bring in that third party, not necessarily third party, but that little bit of damage on towards the side of SCL EnvyUS. But now SCL EnvyUS were the ones who were trying to reign in supreme, and in doing so, these teams have not gotten the cover of the circle itself, and now that is going to be the main opportunity as they get into the comfort of the zone. They are going to be rushing into the arena, and in that, the Legends Carl is the man who gets the first blood in this fight, in this game. And on the other front of this map itself, we do find ourselves faced with the 4 Godawari fighters, the team that is looking pretty ferocious in terms of the play style that they've been able to create. They are down towards the school apartments and are going to be absolutely comfortable for now, because they have gotten themselves into a decent compound and are all by themselves with no other team around in the vicinity. On the other front, when it comes down to the side of the Legends, this team is the one who started off the game on Erangel with this first blood in the 8-minute marker. But will that be enough to get this team rolling across to get more kills for themselves? For now, it does not seem to be the case, as they get their rotation made from Yasnaya on towards a different drop altogether, but we shall have to see what sort of a play can they expect as they make this rotation, because we've seen a few of the teams have been caught when it comes down to their rotation itself. But for now, it is going to be absolutely fine affair for the side of the Legends, because there is absolutely no other team in the vicinity, at least as far as the eye can see in the minimap as well as in the map, in the game feed itself, that we don't have a lot of teams. But my word, as soon as we talk about it, it is going to be NTD Nepal. That was the team who was at the receiving end from the side of the Legends, and now NTD Nepal are going to be facing the brunt of the fight. And on the other tangent, it is going to be a kill confirmed for the side of the Legends. What a play this is turning out to be, where NTD Nepal are not having a decent outing right here. In the first 9 to 10 minute marker itself, the Legends have created 2 points in terms of the kills that they've been able to accumulate. A wonderful turn of events. And talk about the zone. Talk about this zone. Talk about the circle. A perfect X factor showcased from the side of the zone itself. And in that, we do also have FOD, who are now going to be so close to SCL EnvyUS. Now, SCL EnvyUS, every single time we've moved on down to this team, they are just busy making a rotation from one point to the other. They are just absolutely traveling every single time around, and this time they best be careful as they are trying to make that travel. It is going to be the side of FOD who are going to be trying to reign in supreme against those rotations being made from the side of SCL EnvyUS. And talking about the zone itself, it is on the northern front. The team of Team Ronak, that was looking pretty neat as they made that northern rotation and are going to be finding themselves in pretty much the center of the zone with no other team in the vicinity. They will be able to get a pretty good placement in this zone.
For Godawari fighters also on the move. Now they're finding themselves in a position along the side of shooting range onto that eastern side, where they're trying to pin down the rotation, and just purely not only noting, now they've started to pin down all those leads, and frag number 1 was on the receiving end, but sadly no damage whatsoever has been given on to him. But the distance was too pretty much in order to take at least a single amount of damage onto him. But on a different tangent, it is gonna be face of death. So a lot of team, as soon as the circle went for a shift, are just expecting and hoping the circle will be constricting for the last or the second last shift, at least around the area of shooting range. And that's the reason we are getting to see at least 3 teams right off the go. As soon as the circle made a shift, they are moving towards the same side. But now Team ZeroDeath, now they are just trying to bamboozle the moment and bamboozle the players of the Legends. As now Tampi is on the receiving end. A grenade was pulled down on his face, but it just overshooted. But that also resulted in him getting down to 60 HP, and he will be healing himself for 5 bandage, 5 first aid, a lot of first aid to help for his scores and help him for the thing. But as soon as he gets up, it is going to be Captain Blood that is having an eye upon onto him, and if he does that mistake of getting up, he can be taken down. But before that happens, he is the wise one that is really smoking off on his right hand side just to blind off that area.
Well, this team of the Legends find themselves in a pretty precarious situation, because they've got 2 teams around in the vicinity, and it is going to be on the other front FOD taking the fight against Fear 10, and Fear 10 are the ones who are trying to reign in supreme. As they do so, they've lost one of their players, but they are still not deterred from this entire saga. They are going to be pushing on along, but FOD's AJ is just bringing in hatred towards the players of Fear 10 and is going to be confirming kills for himself. No player lost for them. 2 kills already confirmed for the side of FOD. A perfect affair being showcased from the side of FOD. This is a team that has not gotten a chicken dinner, find themselves in the top 8 position, and this is the way that this team has been able to dominate. Just a perfect play through the smoke itself, and Mercy is going to try and confirm that kill for himself, alongside which it seems that his teammate is going to be requiring a little bit of a revival, and that is going to be working because Mercy is right there. AJ is going to be giving them the cover fire, and in doing all of this, it seems like Fear 10 is left pretty much with just that one man who has already left this entire fight. And just a few minutes before the final player, before the second last player from the side of course, Fear 10 will be found, and it is going to be a confirmed kill. Face of Death looking pretty neat with 3 kills confirmed for them. A perfect outing for the side of that team, but as the game progresses on along, this is where things are going to get trickier and trickier, because so many teams in this small little zone are now going to have to be forced to take on a fight. Third parties are going to start bringing in to the kill feed, as well as RF officials are making this rotation. They are going to be in close vicinity towards the shooting range into, of course, none other than PUBG Minions.
And nobody is taking any sort of shelter around the areas of Severny or not into the main city of Severny, and that is one fascinating thing. But as soon as the circle made was shift, now RF official is completely committing themselves into this sort of dip, the main area of shooting range, where you get to see see a lot of loot, and that will be a bad decision, I would say, because then you just become too susceptible from 3-4 different directions, and all there are 360 around. There are sort of ridge that can really pin you down, and that's what 4 Godawari fighters are up to the mark. But as soon as 4 Godawari fighters try to take a fight, there is also one team on the back end side, and that is going to be the team that was looking pretty phenomenal at that point, at that moment. But as soon as the teams are trying to take the fight, it is going to be 4 Godawari fighter again trying to pin down the players of Royal Official, and Sun is the one. It seems that his future looks bleak and his future looks dark, apart from his the status that he's trying to hold down. But Rakesh is really trying hard. I mean, talk about his gameplay in yesterday's gameplay itself. In the game of Erangel, he was the one that was really trying to pin down the players, and he was the one that was leading the charge along with Zeem's Gaming. Today itself, no sort of change in stance, and he is the one that is trying to aggress the player. But till now, Royal Official has held their ground well, because the attitude and the stance with which they made a push, for me it seemed that there will be at least one knock, but still they are holding the ground pretty strong.
They are. They most certainly are for now. For now they are, because of course when it comes down to the zone itself, we are 14.5 minutes in. Third phase being showcased from the side of this from the side of the game itself. And of course, when it comes down to that, the teams are going to be part of those third parties and those sandwich situations. That is where, of course, we can clearly anticipate for Godawari fighters to not find themselves in the comfort, but they are still not deterred as they try and bring in that onslaught towards the players of Royal Officials. And again, for Godawari fighters are trying to reign in supreme, but have not been able to confirm that knock or kill against the players of Royal Officials. An interesting play being showcased from the side of this team, but will that be enough? On the other front, it is Paradox OCE who are also chiming into the kill feed, bringing in some knocks for themselves, and this is where things couldn't have gotten any crazier, because, well, this team of 4 Godawari that we are stuck with on our screens are going to try and absolutely pincer down the movement and rotation from the side of Royal Officials. It's just a matter of time before the zone perhaps is going to be the one who will become the MVP and will force these teams who find themselves in that sandwich situation, as well as top of the hill situation for Godawari fighters, to move away from that area. And as they do so, well, that is when the tides are going to change. In just a matter of 50 seconds, we shall see what sort of an anticipation can be made from the zone.
Indeed, it is going to be. As soon as Circle will be and is going to make a shift, as is perfectly mentioned, things are really going to be changing as far as possible, as soon as possible. For Godawari fighters already on a roll, as they just got the Circle with a shift. Still 34 seconds that when the Blues will be closing it. But as soon as SCL EnvyUS was trying to make a move, I mean, there are a lot of teams in the vicinity trying to make a move, but then it is the sad state of affairs for SCL EnvyUS that they are the only one that they are getting picked off, and rather the kill, it seems that it might be stolen. But before that happens, it is going to be Aldar from the side of Furex Nepoz that have really secured that kill. And as you just mentioned, as we just got to see the Circle meter shift, a lot of traffic is coming in. 5 to 6 to 7 vehicles from 3 to 4 different teams are coming in, just trying to close in around the area of shooting range. Anyhow, they are trying to take the control of it. Be it be any sort of case, they are just throwing everything away. But on different tangent, it is Hazer that is just not stopping from the sides of Paradox, and all of a sudden Paradox, the sort of momentum, the sort of gun gameplay that we've seen in the past, they're just trying to emulate the same way. And now this is a time where Sese Hang is just trying to find that important knock onto the players of PUBG Minion, and all these fights are happening around the bunker area of shooting range.
Well. Talk about the kill feed. Paradox OCE chiming in and completely decimating the players of the Legends. And right here on our screens, it is going to be the side of FOD against the players of Illuminate Crew. And Illuminate Crew, being none the wiser, are going to be utilizing those utilities to perfection and are going to be perfectly dominating the players of FOD. What a play this was from the side of course, Illuminate Crew. And of course, in doing so, they have resulted in Face of Death being eliminated from this entire saga. What a crazy affair that was. In just a matter of minutes, seconds rather is what I should say, Illuminate Crew were absolutely able to pincer down FOD and not allow them to get that chicken dinner that they so are eager to be a part of. With that, we've got 13 teams remaining. There is a lot of chaos being showcased in this lobby, because when it comes down to the zone has constructed, and now these teams are so very close to each other that the fights are going to be forced onto them thanks to the PUBG gods. And in doing so, it is now Illuminate True. The Nate Parade that they were showcasing against the players of FOD is now being retaliated in the same exact profession from the side of Furex Nepoz. And Furex Nepoz have been able to completely pincer down the positioning of Illuminate True. The Illuminate's Cobra, almost on just one little HP, is going to try and survive. That nade will thankfully land a little further out, and he will be able to get himself the first aid that he so very much needs on the other front when it comes down to Sehang, he is the man who has to try and dominate against this perfect push that FuryX Nepoz are creating. And Aldar right there from the side of FuryX Nepoz, he is also going to try and completely pins it on the opponents as well, because FuryX Nepoz, yes, they are taking a fight, but they do understand that they have to be careful because there are going to be other teams around in the vicinity. Oh no, Sesehang, you are not in the position that is going to give you the defense that you thought, because the nade that was brought on from the side of FuryX Nepoz is so on point, and it seems like this is not looking good for Illuminate True, because the nade parade is just not stopping FuryX Nepoz. Again and again and again, the nades that they are showcasing have completely eliminated from the side of Illuminate True. 2 players have already been brought on. Cobra is down to almost 10% of HP, which will not be able to suffice, as FuryX Nepoz will get the better half of this fight, and it is going to be 4 points for them. Illuminate True, none the wiser, will not be allowed to walk out of this small little ditch that they found themselves in.
On Randon, it is going to be NTT Nepal that are trying to take the fight against Darksyde, and both the team, it seems, have gotten a huge amount of damage, and the casualty is where both the teams are equally. But for the moment, it is going to be FuryX Nepal. After just taking the fight without getting a single time to regroup, they are now retreating and retaliating onto the players of 4 Godawari fighters that really tried to chime upon, taking the advantage of the situation, because 4 Godawari fighters were knowing that it is just one team that got eliminated at the same dip, at the same position, and trying to take the advantage of one thing that was one thing that 4 Godawari was ready for. But it seems that FuryX Nepal was also ready for it. But what a beautifully set up Molotov that has burnt 2 players down alive from the sides of Ixcel. Assassin is still surviving. Smith OP has gone down from the backhand side. They need to make sure, Maga needs to make sure, because Oho and Smith are the players surviving, with the players slowly and steadily moving down to the same area. But it seems that PUBG Minion are on a charge, and they're just not happy with the sort of rotation the players are trying to do. It is a complete blockage that has been made from the opening of that shack, and that is the reason why the players from the sides of PUBG Minion are desperate enough to get into that, because you have to be, because 1 point is important for you, and that kill can get converted into 1 point. But for the moment, it is going to be Assassin that one finished, and thanks to the onslaught that is coming in from the sides of Maga. And now it is the fight where we are heading towards, where Paradox are just trying to dominate. But it seems that now Team ZeroDeath are falling down like line pins, as Smoking goes down, Glitch Wire goes down, all upon to the players of Potai and Captain Blood. In yesterday's gameplay, it was Smoking that was smoking really hot in the complete lobby, just didn't get enough opportunity for the rest of the lobby to try to pincer him down. But today it seems that it is not his day, as he has been knocked down twice in all these fights.
Well, we're 21 minutes into the game. Darksyde being eliminated on the 12th spot. 11 teams remaining. ZeroDeath on our screens going to give their teammates the revival, and as they do so, this is going to be a 3-man strong army. But will that be enough? Because Ixcel is right around in the vicinity, and Ixcel could very well try and chime in and bring ZeroDeath down onto their knees, because when it comes down to the push that Ixcel is ready and prepped for, they are looking absolutely ferocious. A 2-man squad is what Ixcel is going to be, from Kaya all the way to Druzy Boy. They are getting themselves prepped, and of course they are going to be trying to pincer down the movement for ZeroDeath. But will that be enough for ZeroDeath? They need to be very, very cautious. They are of course in the part of that smoke, but it seems like now when it comes down to the play itself, it is going to be against the push coming in from the side of Ixcel, and ZeroDeath will certainly reign on supreme with still 3-man strong. They will be absolutely pincering down the 2 players that were remaining from the side of Ixcel, and the fight, they are still not done. Team Ronak on our screens, 10 teams remaining. Ronak have all 4 players alive, and in the kill feed we can clearly see Paradox have chimed in along and taken a fight against the players of SCL, and as they do so, a third party is being showcased from the side of 4 Godawari fighters. The kill feed just does not stop from one team to the other. So many fights are taking place. ZeroDeath moving on along against the players of NTT Nepal for now.
Team Ronak were looking in a decent position, were looking in a commanding position, but as soon as we will go on for a shift, the compound of which they have taken a shelter a moment ago, they have to vanquish it, and if that happens, they really need to find themselves in the open position. Talking about open, it is going to be FuryX Nepal trying to pin down the players, as all the 4 players from the sides of 4 Godawari fighters are finding themselves in the same constricted areas, and it seems that Ego knows it pretty well, Allah knows it also pretty well, but this time it is going to be 4 Godawari fighters that are trying to make a move from the right hand side and just trying to take a fight by pinning down the players of Paradox OC, thus resulting their movement getting restricted. But it seems that Ego is unstoppable at this moment. 7 kill is what FuryX Nepal as a whole team is standing, and out of that, it's just the 1. That means Ego will be hunting and trying to take down the player, unable to equalize the total number of kill points as his friends and his teammates has. But it seems that Ninjurik can be in that injured position, as now some grenades are being perfectly used from the sides of Paradox, and this is a complete charge where Phoenix Nepoz has completely committed onto the players of Paradox. But in this, doing so, Paradox is trying to take the 2-5-1 on the right-hand side with PUBG Minion, and now Hazer with the flank angle can really bring this X factor.
Well, they exactly are doing so, because Paradox have found themselves 7 kills already. They've got all 4 players alive, and the fight just continues on in their favor. SCL EnvyUS getting eliminated on the 8th spot with 0 kills. Once again, not the kind of play that was anticipated from them, but at least they will be able to walk away with some placement points. On the other front, Paradox's Erangel right here, who is going to be perfectly bring in the players of Furix Nepoz against those nade parade that he's showcasing. Right now, when it comes down to Furix Nepoz, they were also looking comfortable with the 7 kills that they've been able to confirm, but will it be enough? Because now they have Paradox to take on, and the Paradox team is going to be a team that will not be an easy one to take on, because in the kill feed we can clearly see Paradox are taking on fight against so many individual teams. It is just a perfect onslaught that was anticipated from the side of Paradox, where from one team to the next, every single team is being posted down thanks to Paradox's perfectly set up aggression. But now it is going to be Aldari from the side of Furix Nepoz, who can perfectly try and pinch it down the push that is being showcased from the side of Paradox OCE, but it will not be allowed, and Paradox will get the better half of that fight. Incredible talent is being showcased from Paradox, as they are just communicating and surviving and find themselves in the top 5.
And in that doing so, G1 needs the revival. For the moment, it seems that they're still pretty strong, because they have eliminated every other team in the same vicinity that were trying to flourish, but now they have their eyes set upon, they have their crosshairs set upon Rogue Nation, and it is not looking good for Rogue Nation, as now all the 3 players in that prone position with 1 player going on. Hitman out in the open, you just cannot do that. You just cannot do that. If you do, you will be finding yourself 6 feet down the ground, and now it is going to be up upon to the players of Zeus, and no matter how they try to take the fight, they won't be able to do so, as now 15 kill is where Paradox is standing at this moment, where 3-3 each is shared between players, and Hazer is the man of the moment. He has all the reds of the helmet going in. That means he has taken a lot of fight. He is completely bruised, but it seems that the courage is just not stopping him.
Well, that is certainly going to be the case for the side of Paradox. There's no stopping this team. 4 teams remaining. We've got ZeroDeath right here. We've got Team Ronak as well as Royal Officials also in the vicinity. But when it comes to Royal Officials play, they're only a 2-man squad. Coming down to, of course, Paradox, they are a 4-man strong, and this team is just completely trying to dominate against every single team that is around in the vicinity. And that small little advantage of the altitude of the hill that is working in Paradox's favor has been the reason why this team has so much information against their opponents. And in that, we also do have Team Ronak taking on the fight against the players of ZeroDeath, and as Team Ronak do so, it is going to be a kill confirm for themselves, as ZeroDeath have been brought down to a 2-man squad. But along with that, Team Ronak are also going to find themselves 1-man shot. But Paradox right here are just absolutely dominating every single team. Royal Officials, Smoko is the man who has to try and pick it on this push. That push is going to be working against Paradox, because Smoko will be the man who will be able to confirm the kill for himself. A perfect turnover win for the side of course, Royal Officials indeed. But now, as the zone is going to be pushing on along, ZeroDeath will get the better half of that fight, and it is going to be a 2v1v3 situation where Team Ronak still find themselves with that X factor working in their favor, because they've got the numbers advantage. But the 1 player remaining from the side of Paradox is none other than Hazer. The demolition machine is what that dude is for the side of Paradox. He's been able to confirm 6 kills for himself. But right now, when it comes to ZeroDeath, Bot Eye on our screens also has gotten 2 kills. When it comes to his utility, he's looking pretty neat compared to, of course, Hazer, where we did see his vest as well as his helmet were absolutely knocked. And, of course, that is not going to be favoring him. And Team Ronak are going to be, maybe they might just be able to get this fight for themselves, because ZeroDeath's final player against the 3-man squad of Team Ronak will certainly not be catching up to the team. But now there's going to be Paradox's final player who will try and push the team. But, of course, Team Ronak having the numbers advantage, having the utilities advantage, having the vest and the helmet working in their favor will give them the better defense against the push from Hazer. And what a play this was, where Team Ronak certainly did get the chicken dinner, but it was a Paradox game. It was a complete Paradox game. There is no two ways about it. With the game that they have showcased, this team is going to be dominating the lobby. But never mind that, when it comes down to the chicken dinner for the first game, it is none other than Team Ronak walking away with 20 points. 5 kills is what they got. 6th in the overall ranking is where they find themselves with 1,039 damage dished out throughout the entire saga.
Before the day started, they were on the 7th position, and 1 up is where they're finding themselves, and now they're finding at the 6th position with the 20 total points that they were able to secure. But the number of kills that Paradox OC again got and racked up for themselves,
crazy.
there is just no stopping them. The courage, the valor, and the saviors, all the players, all the teams have the tandem. They work in actually tandem. 2 players deployed in one different direction, 1 player to take the charge from the left hand side and 1 player to take the front. I mean, they were completely bamboozling the lobby, and there was just no other option. Then it was just the numbers advantage that really favor the Team Ronak. But you need to commend the guys and the lads from Team Ronak, because in all these fights, in all these chaos, Team Ronak were holding those important compounds. But as soon as the circle made a shift, it went away from those compounds, and in that they made sure that they are coming into circle with 4 men strong. And as soon as they entered, it was just one unfortunate event where 1 player went down, but 3 successful players made an entry into zone, and then it was all easy for them to get that chicken.
Most certainly was. With that, let's move on to the MVP, and Hazer is the man of the hour. It is going to be Hazer indeed, with 6 kills, 1 assist, 726 damage that he was able to dish out in this entire fight. What a play. What a man this dude is for the side of Paradox OCE. I mean, this dude certainly is going to be bringing in a lot of domination as he pushes on along for the remaining games. We've got 7 remaining games for these teams in the overall regional finals. Of course, 3 games from today, 4 games from tomorrow. So in all of that, it is going to be Paradox's players who are just trying to bring in every single opportunity that they can in their favor, and in doing so are going to be creating a massive lead against the team that find themselves on the 2nd or the 3rd position for that matter as well. With that, moving on to the top players list, we do of course see Paradox's teammate, Hazer's teammate, Paradox G1 also find themselves on the 2nd spot with 933 damage that he was a part of, with 4 kills to his name.
Yesterday it was gameplay that really shocked and really intrigued from the sides of Smoking from ZD, that was ZeroDeath. Today it is Captain Blood and Potai. That means now the other players are really stepping up and giving a good challenge to the rest of the lobby, and Team ZeroDeath really had a very good match indeed it was. But talking about the match summary, it is going to be a lot of players from the sides of Paradox. It's going to be Hazer in the highest skill tally, Azrael in terms of the longest distance skill he did secure, it was 312 meter, and then it was G1 in the highest damage, and Azrael again in that maximum list. And then we got to see the utilities used. Talk about the Team Ronak approach. They were just slowly and steadily moving into the circle, unaware of what to take the fight. Not exactly unaware, but they were just unwilling to take the fight when they were trying to make a move into the circle. And this is one good way to take the points, because at the end of the day, point is all what that matters.
Absolutely, and talking about those points, look at the kills coming in for the side of Paradox OCE. 16 kills. 16 kills is what this team got. 28 points in total is what they will be able to accumulate from this game. And below them is going to be, of course, the chicken dinner winner team. That is going to be Team Ronak with 5 kills. And of course, the placement points being on the top is going to be 15. So 20 points is what Team Ronak walk away with. Followed in very closely is going to be Team ZeroDeath. A consistent play being showcased from this team as well, where ZeroDeath as well as FurX Nepoz have been so very consistent, find themselves on the 3rd and 4th position with 18 and 11 points respectively.
Indeed, 100% agreeing with you. I mean, Team ZeroDeath and FurX Nepoz, apart from what sort of performance the lobby is chiming in, I mean, this is one good game. Go into the game. There is just one business, there is just one objective for them. Just take at least 10 to 12 points, and they have been successfully doing it for the last 2 days itself. And the 3rd day itself, the start is the one that they were really looking up to, because there are a lot of contenders in the top 4 if we just talk about that. And in that, it was Royal Official also that got a huge amount of huge chunk of total points that they were able to do so. But certainly, I mean, SCL EnvyUS, they were the part of the rotation, if you remember, around the area of shooting range, and they were just pins it down. Darksyde was also the one that really gave themselves away from all these fights. Fear 10 really had a sad elimination. Ixcel, this team really find themselves in that open position where they were trying to take the fight against FurX Nepoz, where they were finding themselves into the smoke, and then they were while they were trying to go away from the smoke, trying to take the fight, it was a number disadvantage that really didn't favor them. But certainly for Godawari fighters, if they don't try hard, I mean, just the 2 points finding themselves at the top 3, top 4, there are other teams that are now slowly and steadily climbing up to that top 5 position.
Absolutely. With that, we move on to the total damage, where right off the bat, I do want to talk about not the teams that absolutely dominated, but the teams that tried. We've got 4 Godawari fighters right there with 851 damage bar working for them, but only 1 kill. We've got Ixcel with 1016 damage that they dished out, but sadly, only 1 kill. And then we've got teams like Darksyde, who were part of just a few select moments of fight itself with 196 damage for the entirety of the team, 0 kills of course, and same for Fear 10, 192, but with 0 kills. So again, when it comes to the kills, it is Paradox OCE that definitely just steals the kills away from so many of these teams, and of course that is the reason why this team finds themselves on the top of the leaderboard. Followed in is going to be Team ZeroDeath, and then it is RF officials who have been able to move up just 1 point shy of that 3-digit marker when it comes to the total points for RF officials.
Not much of a change apart from RF official taking the place of 4 Godawari fighters and Team Ronak taking the position of face of that. Apart from that, the rest of the team in the top 8 looks pretty much sublime in terms of the cementing of lead that they are taking for, and 2 chicken dinner is what the teams are standing for the moment for certain teams. But somewhere down the line, the second half of the chart, there is also not much of a shift, as now PUBG Minion with that not a brilliant gameplay but just a good one, and that has resulted themselves getting just 1 point lead over Fear 10. Just because Fear 10 got eliminated without taking any point, it was PUBG Minion before this match was sharing 50-50 total points. This time PUBG Minion Esports took just 1 point, and now they are finding themselves just 1 point above. So now this comes down to how these 1 and 2 points are becoming important, as we got to see certain teams were really looking at and trying hard to get all those knocks getting converted into kill, and thus resulting 1 more points into the favor.
Well, with that, we've got first game done on Erangel. Now it is time to go on that short little break, after which will be second game for the day on Miramar. But like I said, before we jump into Miramar, it is time to go on that short little break. Stick around, we're going to be right back.
Here we go now.
Welcome once again to PUBG Mobile Club Open. This is the wildcard region where we are on, of course, the second last day of the regional finals. We've got first game done on Erangel. Now it is time to jump with the schedule onto the map of Miramar, where things are going to get heated up, of course, and trickier, of course, because when it comes down to the playstyle that Paradox is on upon, the first game, they walk away with 16 kills. They don't get the chicken dinner, but that's fine because, well, the points certainly did favor them. 16,
still on the top.
Yep, they're still on the top and they've got a lead, and that is what this team is going to be working towards.
And one good thing is that Team ZeroDeath is not just going all guns blazing. The matches is not just exploding themselves. So as far as that is happening, Paradox with even if they're not getting those kill, even if they're not getting those chicken, kill is certainly where they heavily rely upon. But Team Ronak, we talked about this team that do really rely on the placement point. We just saw a best example of how to get those chicken dinner. If we talk about the consistency, if we talk about all these things, Team Ronak is a real epitome of it, and Team ZeroDeath has been really trying hard in order to get that second spot, because it's really not easy, because there are a lot of teams. Talk about 4 Godawari fighters, talk about the teams that are down towards the same line, that is going to be Royal Official. They are really trying hard in order to surpass each and every team, because at the end of the day, these are the last few matches, as Brother perfectly mentioned, the last 7 matches in the Pen Ultimate. There's still 3 more opportunities. That means a lot to think about. But since we have been talking about a lot of teams that are on the top 3, top 4, top 5, I really want to see where PUBG Minions are, where Darksydes are, and where SCL EnvyUS are.
Yeesh. Don't touch that now. Don't touch that now, because those teams are not looking too good. But with that, it is time to jump on with the flight path that is going to be coming in from the La Cabrera region of course, the Miramar map, from the northern side, going all the way down southeastern area towards Puerto Peracio, and that is where the teams are going to be allowed to jump towards. When it comes down to the western front, it is going to be a little tricky to make that rotation, but certainly not impossible, because we have seen teams do so. But what am I saying here? It seems like we've got only 15 teams in the lobby. There is a team that is missing. Why would that be the case? What team would it be that would not want to be a part of this entire saga? Well, let me answer that very clearly. It is SCL EnvyUS. Seems like they will not be participating in the map of Miramar, but yeah, like I said, don't touch that now, because that's just a grain of salt, mate.
This is really getting, I mean, tricky for the teams itself and for the SCL EnvyUS, as now they are not this part of the match, but rest 15s are still there. That means we now might be getting some sort of different sort of contestation, as now the teams are jumping to the same area as they have done in the past. With I mean, St. Martin is where I guess the Paradox OCR, yes, they are going towards the same area. In a split from Hacienda del Patron to San Martin is where Paradox will be finding themselves, and closer to where the water treatment area is actually positioned is where we are finding the players and the teams of 4 Godawari fighters. And the northeastern side is completely packed by 3 teams in the same vicinity. Talk about Fear 10, Team ZeroDeath, and this is where we are getting to see the fight. The Fear 10s up against the players of Fears of Death. Both the Fears are there. Which team are going to be frightening which opposition? This is going to be the question of the hour, as now Fragger number 1 having the UMP in his hand. It seems that he is up on the charge, and it is always better to have those kills racked up in the early stage of the game of Miramar, because already the custom says that it's a slow based map, and if you get some adrenaline pumping in at the initial stage of the game, it's always handy to have in your favor. And since Rogue Nation is finding themselves in the closer vicinity, it seems in the area of El Azhar, they might be finding themselves in a closer proximity. There is one in the northeastern side. Yes, that is going to be Team Legends, pretty much close to where they are, but still the fight is just not possible. That might be breaking in next few minutes or so.
Well, that will be the case. That will certainly be the case for now, but it is going to be a slow start, because of course it is the map of Miramar, and when it comes to the map of Miramar, it is going to be a slow poke start for the teams because of the way the map itself is constructed. It is a huge undertaking to make those rotations on this map, and of course when it comes down to those rotations, a few of these teams we do see making some really late rotations. Also, sometimes we do end up looking at teams who find themselves in this close proximity on the same compound that end up becoming a stalemate situation that results in the circle also moving away from them, and that is hopefully not going to be the case, because this is not the moment that these teams should be contesting those drop locations, and that for now is certainly not the case. As we move on towards the side of the Legends, who are out in the open trying to get that rotation moved on along, they are 175 meters away from the zone itself and slowly jumping in towards the comfort of the zone itself, which is going to be working for them no problem whatsoever at all as they try and get their loot sorted out. It is going to be well, for now, of course, there does not seem to be any team in the vicinity, so they will be able to get the compound, and hopefully the utilities will be better off, because right now we can clearly see when it comes to Carl right here and his utilities, he has not gotten enough. And for the moment, this team needs vehicles, this team needs utilities, this team needs the cover of the compound, and thankfully there is no team in the compound. Otherwise, it would have been a straight shot to the head and dead, which is not the play that, of course, Legends are working towards. On the other front, when it comes down to the other teams in the lobby, as we move on across the board, we are looking at a consistent team. That is going to be the side of ZeroDeath right here. And this team has been absolutely phenomenal in terms of the playstyle that they've been able to showcase. But will it be enough? Will that be enough? Because the lobby is absolutely trying to dominate, and within close proximity to ZeroDeath on the overall standing is also going to be the side of Godawari as well as FurioX Nepoz, and of course above them all is going to be the team from Australia, Paradox OCE, a team that has been absolutely pincering down every single opportunity that they find themselves in, has been ferociously moving on along to get the kills confirmed, to get the lead working in the favor. And if they continue this sort of a onslaught and slaughter into the entire lobby, it will probably be the team that will move on to get that first position chicken dinner at the end of the regional finals, and will be the team that will be confirmed that PMPL slot. But these other teams, the opponent teams, they've got these matches. They've got, of course, 2 matches that are remaining from the day, and this one particular match that is on our screens right now, to be able to not allow Paradox to create that sort of a massive lead. But the play that Paradox ends up making, I mean, we've noticed it so many times when it comes to the play style that Paradox likes to play with. In the first 3 zones, they are not really part of that many kills or the kill feed altogether itself. But as the day progresses, or rather as the phase progresses on along, it's the 4th zone that Paradox comes alive. It's the 5th zone that Paradox is in action. And by the end of that 5th zone, Paradox pretty much knows exactly where the opponent teams are in their vicinity, and they start reigning in supreme. So an interesting playstyle being showcased from the side of Paradox. So that would imply, if at all a team can get them in the early rotations itself, which we have seen earlier as well. Paradox have been brought down to their knees in the early few rotations that they do make in the first or the second zone, and that is when Paradox have been eliminated with 0 points. So again, this is something that if the opponents try and work towards, can maybe put a little bit of a halt for Paradox's gameplay. But on the other front, talk about a halt that is not being caused from the side of Godawari fighters. This team has been doing, once again, really well for themselves. Again, pretty much same sort of a play as is being showcased from ZeroDeath as well, where Godawari are absolutely being very consistent in terms of the play style that they're working towards, in terms of the gameplay that they're showcasing. And right now, of course, the audio cues that have been showcased, it is not going to be an easy task, because what a spray that was, resulting in Zeem's Gaming's L bringing in a player that is going to be none other than Druzy Boy from Ixcel. And right off the bat, Ixcel has been brought down to a 3-man squad with that Paradox. My apologies, for Godawari fighters are going to be confirming that kill in just a matter of minutes. And of course, as the teammates are also going to be jumping in along to take this fight towards the face of this compound of Ixcel. And in doing so, this team of Godawari fighters are trying to reign in supreme, but Zeem's Gaming just completely just going on top and completely trying to think that, yep, I'm going to be able to dominate, I am going to be overconfident, and I'm going to be jumping in. Well, that's not going to favor you, mate. Of course, you do have your teammate Rakesh right there to give you that revival, and as soon as that revival is going to be confirmed, they are going to be backing out, but they try and back out, and MVP coming in along with his teammate Kayak are going to once again pincer down Zeem's Gaming. A kill has not yet been confirmed, but the teammates from the side of Godawari are right here, and Kayak trying his level best to not allow the team of Godawari to jump in towards the compound, but a perfectly set up Molotov and Nade Parade being showcased from the side of Godawari is going to be the exact thing that this team needs. For now, it is going to be Ixcel's Kayak, who is almost burnt down, but he will be alive for now and will be able to get his health regained. On the other front, Zeem's Gaming has still not been given that cover, and for the side of Godawari, the onslaught is just being completely brought on in terms of the Nade Parade that are being showcased, and this is just the play that Godawari fighters were waiting for in the first 8 minutes, and a nade to the face of Kayak from Ixcel has resulted in the team of Ixcel pincering down and just falling down to a 2-man squad.
What a game. What a game. We talk about slam, we talk about push, but certainly all of a sudden in all these situations there is one team that was really looking to pounce upon this opportunity. This time it is going to be Legend, as now Bay goes down from the sides of four Godawari fighters. His revival seems pretty much precarious as he is in that limbo situation, but now Assassin goes down from the sides of Legend Esports, and since this fight was erupting in all open towards the area of Hassan Del Patron, it was acting as an invitation for the rest of the lobby to chime upon. I won't be even surprised because Hassan Del Patron is an entry, is a site of rotation for multiple teams, and in that I won't be even surprised if one more team tries to make a comeback and just try to pin down the player from either the sides of Ixcel or from the sides of Godawari or from the Legend Esports. That can be one good thing. And talking about that, it's going to be Team Ronak from the sides, or Alcoholic from the sides of Team Ronak, that are now pinching down the players of the Legends, and Carl has gone down.
What a play. What a play in the first 9 minutes of the game itself. This is just absolute chaos being created right here, where it was just a very easy fight for Godawari fighters against the players of Ixcel, but now Team Ronak have jumped into the arena as well, along with the Legends, and this is turning into a 4-team party that is in the small little compound that will certainly be moving on as the team of Godawari still push on along with the nade parade. Rakesh right there, still trying to confirm the kill against the players of Ixcel, and that nade from the side of Ixcel, well, from the side of Godawari, will not find the MVP. But again, it is not going to be that easy for Ixcel to walk out of this arena as well, because this is just a sliver of an HP that he was left with, and the position that MVP is in, he has completely been caught, and it is just a matter of time before these nades that are being showcased from the side of Godawari will find that perfect knock, and that kill will be confirmed for the side of Godawari as they now try and push into the compound itself. They will be trying to place exactly where that final player is, and in doing so, Ixcel's MVP, he is trying his level best to stop this team to get up the stairs, but the other side, Legends coming in with the third party against the players of Godawari. Sabine has been brought down to his knees. They will be able to confirm Ixcel's MVP's kill, but their teammate who was out on towards the flank region has been brought down to his knees, and the Legends are the ones from far away who are trying to take on this fight. And as we did see all of this fight take place in the first 10 minutes of the game, the zone has caught up to them, and now all these teams have to start making a rotation. 1,000 meters away is what they need to go, and that is going to be a huge undertaking because all of them know exactly where they are positioned, and in that, it is not going to be an easy rotation for any of these teams. On the other front, talk about Illuminate right here as they are being pincered down from the side of FURIX Nepoz. What an interesting Miramar this has turned out to be, where normally we see fights taken on after the 15-minute marker, but this time around, it is just nade parades being showcased from right across the board, from one team to the next. And right here, we do have FURIX Nepoz as Triggers, who has been able to confirm a kill for himself, and along with that, he's still going to be, the team itself is going to be pinching down the Sasai Hung from Illuminate crew.
Say Hung, I mean, the revival pretty much impossible at this moment, as now Ego gets that kill confirmed for FURIX Nepoz, and Illuminate crew all of a sudden they have vanquished this position because they were not in a position to take the fight. But on a different tangent, it is going to be the Legend that are again trying to pin down the players of 4 Godawari fighter, and the fight is just not stopping. It was 4 Godawari fighters that lost too much of time in order to take down the last player from the sides of Ixcel, and in that it was Legends that really tried to engulf them, and that has resulted the 4 Godawari fighters with a big dent. 2 defeat is where the Legend Esports are standing at this moment, and Odin with that flank angle, this is the X factor, and that's going to be a surprise element for 4 Godawari fighters. But Zeems Gaming, the important part for 4 Godawari fighter is that Zeems Gaming is still surviving, and he can really bring a lot of slaughter onto the players and onto the heads of Legend Esports if they just try to be, I mean, oversmart and outsmart them. It is going to be the one that will be really trying to take the care of, but it seems that now Legend Esports are just trying to engulf the player from the sides of 4 Godawari fighter, but the fight is still on. It is going to be Zero and Zeems Gaming still trying to take the fight, but it seems that out in all these blues, Zero has left all these areas, and maybe he may have moved towards the area of circle, where the circle may have constricted, and in doing so, it is going to be 1v3 affair where Zeems Gaming is still finding himself. But this flank angle, Odin knows the exact position where Zeems Gaming is finding himself into just a moment of time, where Zeems Gaming will be taken care of, because it's not an easy task for them to survive this onslaught. 3 players charging onto you from 3 different directions. At any point, you have to take care of all the directions. If you're not able to do for one, you will take it from another, as now all the 3 players from the sides of Legend Esports, it seems that now they are retreating, and a lot of time, a lot of fight has already been wasted. But Zeems Gaming, does he have that vehicle? It seems that yes, he has that Mirado, but as soon as that happens, we got to see some fights that is still erupting, as now Illuminate has been completely thrown away from that lobby thanks to that onslaught that is coming from the sides of FURIX Nepoz. We just saw the players try to retreat and disengage where they were finding themselves in a fight between them and FURIX Nepoz, but as soon as they found themselves in the fortified area, it was a complete slam in, it was a complete push, and thus resulting getting 4 kills, 4 defeats in the name of FURIX Nepoz.
Well, what a play. What a play that is being showcased on this map of Miramar, where all these teams are trying to reign in supreme, and as they do so, in the first 14-minute marker itself, we've got 2 teams being eliminated, and that's not it, because there are more fights that are taken on forth, and it is going to be the side from the side of Darksyde and Entity Nepal, from the looks of it, that are going to be going head-to-head against each other. And talking about, well, Paradox, now this is the moment that they will jump in and completely try and pincer down the rotations of other teams. But of course, for now, they're making that rotation for their own, coming in from the western southern front of the map, or of the zone altogether. On the other side, when it comes down to FURIX Nepoz, well, we just saw this team completely pincer down the players of Illuminate Crew, and in doing so have been able to confirm 4 kills for themselves. And this is not it, because this team is now going to be taking in another fight for themselves from far away, and it is going to be none other than, from the looks of it, Rogue Nation that is going to be at the receiving end from the side of FURIX Nepoz, because for now it is going to be FURIX Nepoz who are trying to get the better half of that fight. And Darksyde right here is going to be the team that will be bringing in the kills for themselves against the players of Entity Nepal, and Entity Nepal getting pincered down and absolutely getting hunkered against not only Darksyde but also Paradox, because Paradox were making that rotation exactly from that western southern front of the zone, and in doing so they've also chimed in along and taken, or rather stolen, a kill from the side of Darksyde, and Entity Nepal have been eliminated. Darksyde walk away with 2 kills, but will they be able to walk or run away is another thing to have a look at, because it is going to be Paradox OCE that has the vicinity as well as the information against the side of of course, Darksyde.
But Circle is where this is not certainly favoring Paradox, and also for the sides of Darksyde, both the teams, be it Paradox, be it Darksyde, they need to make a move into the zone. 370 meter, 317 meter is what Paradox player need to make a move, and that is certainly going to be less in comparison to what Darksyde need to travel. And as soon as the Circle meter shift, all the 4 players are just ready on their toes, trying to make a move. They are trying to make a big and elongated rotation, because it was no-brainer that they would be going straight away, where they were trying to pin down the players of Darksyde. An elongated rotation, and Hazer is the one that leads the charge again. Hazer is the one that really scouts down the areas, and it seems that now G1 is getting close to where Team ZeroDeath are finding themselves into. If he doesn't have the smallest of the info, it can be a detrimental situation for us. As soon as they find themselves in a situation, G1 just trying to get away from the situation, whatever be the case, whatever be the thing, and Glitch.io was just not able to bring at least 1 single knock or a single damage onto that body. It was him that was really quick on his toes, and he found himself away from that danger, and for now, danger is averted.
Seriously, Smokin'? Honestly, mate. I mean, you're 16 minutes into the game and you have not been able to find a decent gun. I mean, a UMP, yes, that's all right, but...
not a long range one, yeah.
Exactly, on a long range, how? How? ZeroDeath, what is going on, Smokin'? I mean, that is just literally, I have to ask that question. What is going on? Because this is not the only play from the side of ZeroDeath. We've got Glitch also moving on along with the exact same strat. I mean, yes, in the close range, that would work perfectly, because the rate of fire is going to be working in your favor as well. But on the... all right, I am not going to be questioning it, but had they had a better control of another gun, that spray against G1, right, could have resulted in a lot more damage. But, of course, that is what ZeroDeath is roaming around with. They've got the confidence in working in the favor of themselves. They've got the gun, and that is what they're comfortable with. So, GG to them.
Indeed, it is going to be the case. I mean, the strats are certainly working in the favor. Just that AR could have done really things better for them, but it seems that AR is certainly working into the favor of Paradox OC. That he is finding himself with that Scarl 6x attached into it, trying to pin another player. But certainly, one player from that side, and that is going to be G1, is completely separated from the whole pack. The 3 of which they are finding themselves in the close line where Team ZeroDeath are position, and I guess they are just waiting for the circle to make a shift. But as soon as ZeroBay makes a move, it seems that he is under the crosshair, and this will be a bad chance for him, a bad move for him, as now Zeem's Gaming goes down, and now Darksyde is making a big dent onto the face of it, with Rogue Nation also coming to the fight. Royal Official Smoko goes out of the match, and Paradox OC is still finding that small little pixel, still finding that charge, and this separation, I guess now this can be blessing in disguise, because if if G1 plays this to perfection and just take care of his back, it can be 3 players from Paradox that can charge in onto the players of Team ZeroDeath, and G1 is already there positioned to take care from the backhand side.
Well, this is going to be an interesting play for Paradox to get out of. But again, we do know that they've got the skill to do it. They do have the skill to do it, but it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time, because when it comes to the zone itself, the zone is going to be constricting. In between all of this arena, we do find Godawari Fighter's final player who is trying to, well, get himself into a vicinity that he is not going to be hammered on upon. From right now, it is Darksyde as well as, of course, G1, who are trying to break on the... Yep, there we go. Godawari Fighter's final player will not be allowed to survive for long, and it is now going to be exactly what Ankit was mentioning, Paradox's moment to shine, because this is where this team can bring in the onslaught to the players of DS. But now the zone has moved. As the zone has moved, Paradox's G1 gets himself in his buggy and completely moves on along towards the southern front of the zone itself. And once again, as they get into the compound right there, it is going to be absolutely perfect play from the side of Paradox. And this is the moment where things are going to start changing for the side of Paradox OCE, because they've got the compound, they've got the zone, and there is no team in the vicinity. So once again, they'll have a lot of information, and they will also have a lot of retaliation, because it seems like ZeroDeath from far, far away are going to be smoking that gun towards Paradox OCE.
Not going to work. This is not going to work. I mean, more than 200 meter, the rate of fire is certainly good in terms of the close range fight, but the drops, the bullet drops that we get to see from all these SMGs certainly not works in his favor. Rather, it could have been an M4 or maybe those barrels or maybe those AKM that could have been certainly working in the favor, but certainly long range fight is not what I would recommend, not would I prefer. But talking about preference, it seems that their rotation from the sides of Roll Official has been completely denied, but Rogue Nation is now C4, brings one more player down. Then Sun has been completely taken away from this match. Royal status goes down as 7 gets more and more kill racked up on his favor, and all of a sudden the turmoil is going to be making in as the chaos has now started to build up from the northern side. It is going to be Team Zero that is finding himself into cemetery area. The 3x Nepoz is also trying to make a move, and now Rogue Nation also just going into the circle, but before they make so, it is going to be 3x Nepoz and Darksyde, two teams trying to eliminate one single team. This is going to be a tough task and a big charge for them to make a move. As soon as they do so, it is going to Fury X Nepoz 5 kill is where they're standing for this moment. But Rogue Hitman is now retaliating in fashion, as now they have taken care of Darksyde, and it seems that the complete squad has been eliminated apart from 2 players that are still in that vicinity. But the way Rogue Nation made a push, that was looking pretty much questionable, but the way they actually took the fight against Darksyde, that was really good.
Well, what a play this is turning out to be. We've got 10 teams remaining, 21 minutes into this game, and this seems like it is going to be an urban finish for these teams, and that is going to be working in so many of these teams' favor. And the kill feed, we do of course see a lot of kills being made, but on our screens it is going to be Face of Death, a team that is still working towards getting that chicken dinner, have not been given so thus far, but right now they've got a 3-man squad army as they try and move on along. It is going to be Paradox's Wiz taking on the players of Team Ronak. Summer has been brought down to his knees. A kill will not yet be confirmed, but Paradox do find themselves in that perfect warehouse on top of that small little ridge, and that is going to be giving them the advantage, the high ground advantage as well, working in towards that team's favor. That's going to be Paradox OCE. On the other front, when it comes down to Fear 10, well, they find themselves that much more of control, because when it comes to their position, well, they are off onto that much more of a higher ground, and that is going to give them the edge that they deserve and need. But the zone, PUBG gods will not be favoring them, because the zone has moved away from all of these teams who find themselves in the comfort of those compounds.
Where is Paradox? Where is Paradox? It seemed that they were on the southern side and the circle has completely gone into the favor. That means one more good game is what they must be expecting for this moment. But now it is going to be a tough task for all these teams that are finding themselves not only on the northern side but also on the northeastern side on that 45-degree, where Fear of Death is finally finding themselves in a closer proximity. And there we go. PUBG Minion trying to spin down the players of FM, and this is not looking good for this moment. FOT is also on a charge, as now they are trying to pin down the players of the Legend. It will be a good move for the teams if they try to just quickly find themselves away in all this situation. And now Enough is enough, as now Parahazer is now striking things back, as now ZeroDeath was in a rotation, but the rotation has completely denied, as now some players have been completely blown away in that vehicle, and see that maybe it's a complete squad elimination. We have to still wait and see if the confirmation is there or not, but it seems by the live rank standing that 2 players have been taken care of, and the kill number is certainly where Para is standing with 4 at the moment.
Well, with that, the blue zone has caught up to all of these teams in the compounds. They are going to have to now get into the open, and as they do so, Face of Death is right here, who is going to be stopping the Legends rotation, and of course Team Ronak have the better half of this fight against the players of Paradox. Will they be taking a fight or not is what we shall have to see, but Team Ronak certainly have the information. On the other front altogether, it is going to be Darksyde against the players of Rogue indeed, and in that doing so, it is going to be Rogue 7 who has been able to just completely dominate with 5 kills to that dude. He is looking really ferocious, and of course on the receiving end sadly was Darksyde. FOD's Mercy, Face of Death, is going to be pushing on into the circle itself, as we just saw him get away from that small little track, and as he does, he is going to be pincering down the players of Fury X Nepoz. But along with that, Paradox, they do know where this team of Team Ronak is, and Team Ronak, they have Alcoholic down. This team, they need to do better. They've only got 1 kill confirmed for now. They have the information, but it's not looking easy. It's looking a little bleak for so many of these teams, because the zone is constricting. 6 zone, 25 minutes, and they are having to run in the open, thus giving away a lot of information on the other front when it comes down to Team Ronak. Well, Easy is the man who is trying to reign in supreme against the positioning of Paradox OCE, but will he be allowed to take on that knock? Not yet, because Paradox, they know exactly where Team Ronak is, and they're going to be pinching them down, and right across the compound from Team Ronak is going to be Fear 10, where it seems like Fear 10 as well as Team Ronak, they are certainly going to be focusing their attention only on that one team that is in front, and that's going to be none other than Paradox OCE.
And in that Paradox OCE really have a good chance to try to take the fight, but there we go. Captain Blood goes down, the on-spot grenade takes him down. There is just no stopping talk about the fights in Erangel, talk about the fights in the game of Sanhok, and this time it is going to be obviously Miramar. They reigning supreme in yesterday game itself, and they gave him second, and this is one good chance to convert the second to the first. And now OG1 goes down. The onslaught, as we just mentioned about Fear 10, Hades is the one that is leading the charge, and on a different tangent, it was an elimination for ZeroDeath itself, as now Team Ronak, the players are also trying to take up the fight, as now Fear 10 is completely having their concentration set up on Paradox, and in that it gives an opportunity, a chance for Team Ronak to pounce upon them. They have really heard all those on cues. That means they know that some players from the side of Team Ronak have gone down in real situation. Someone is on a charge, Easy on a charge, but Easy goes down. The onslaught is also coming in from the backhand side. That means Paradox are also the one that are having their eyes set upon this situation, as now Fear number 1 is just trying to find himself away from the situation, but Ronak comes to rescue, and not only rescues himself but his team, and in doing so it is going to be Summer that has fallen down. Ronak the only one standing. The onslaught is coming in from the side of Paradox OC, just because they got the better of the circle, but now the circle has gone and made a shift. 26 meter is what they need to travel, with all the 3 players alive, just 1 player surviving from the sides of Felix Nepoz in the center of the circles. Ninjuric, the terrain is also favoring them, it is also featuring them, and the players are in a split. They have the utilities, they have the gunpowder, they have the most important thing, and that is the information, because they need not to check their back, they need not to check their right hand side. All is what they need to check is going to be the front, and in the front we can get to see they are creating a lot of smoke clouds. There are some dispersed vehicles, there are covers that they can take shelter and cover off, and in doing so they are just running mercilessly in order to hunt down the players.
What a play this is turning out to be, where it is a 1v1v1 situation. Had Team Ronak's player Ronak not been able to give a revival to his teammate Summer, it is now a 2v1v13, because of course 4 teams are remaining. Paradox have all 3 players surviving, and as they push on along, it is going to be Team Ronak who need to be careful on their back, and because FOD's final player is right there, and it is going to be none other than Ronak who's at the receiving end. Thus it seems like he's at the mercy of Mercy from Face of Death itself, and when it comes to Face of Death, Mercy, he is bringing in that onslaught to that player. Of course, Paradox are taking another fight of their own against the final player of Fury X Nepoz, where Fury X Nepoz will walk away with 10 kills, will be able to knock down one of the players from Paradox, and this is the moment that Face of Death's Mercy can very well utilize upon for himself. Viz is making that push, and as he does so, it is not looking good for the side of FOD. They were so close. They were so close. Mercy was almost able to get that chicken dinner all by himself against the players of Paradox, because they were pinned down. But eventually that will not be allowed. That is sad. sad moment for FOD, but a perfect opportunity for the side of Paradox OCE, because once again, they reign in supreme. They get that chicken dinner in style with 9 kills, 24 points, 2,142 damage that this team was able to bring into this against this lobby. What a perfect game this is for the side of Paradox OCE. What a perfect day this is for the side of Paradox OCE, because this team, yes, they got that 3-digit marker yesterday when it comes to the overall ranking, but now they are just running away from the entirety of the lobby with the amount of points that they've been able to accumulate from one game to the next.
The best part for Paradox is OCE is what? That whenever they are not able to get the chicken, they get those kills, and this time it was not those the kill points that they really relied upon, rather the placement points. 15 total points that you are awarded when you get the chicken. Eventually it was also a huge amount of kill that they were able to secure, but certainly a very good and a decent game if you just talk about Paradox OCE. But certainly Face of Death was also one team that really made it look possible. But Team Ronak, talk about this team. I mean, the Team Ronak in the last game itself was the one that really got the chicken, and this game itself, I mean, they finished in the top 3.
True. With that, let's move on to the MVP coming in from this game, the most valuable player, and it has to be, well, Paradox. We shall see. We shall see who will be the MVP from this time around, because when it comes down to the playstyle, we did look at Nepoz bringing in 10 kills for themselves. That was really good. But of course, when it comes to the play itself, this is where Nepoz's player is going to be able to get, Nepoz is the man who will be able to get 4 kills, 1 assist, 849 damage that he was a part of in 21 minutes and 56 seconds of the survival time. I mean, Nepos, they walked away with the kills, they walked away with the placement points. A perfect game is what I would say that has resulted in this team.
Indeed, I mean, 1 assist is what the team and the player was able to proceed in terms of what he was able to do. Nepoz getting 4 kills in this sort of match. This was also a team that really tried to dominate. 849 damage, 256 of survival time, and 207 healing done. All in all, a good gameplay for Triggs and obviously for Nepoz. I mean, the team has been really consistent in terms of the racking up of kill points and also the placement points. But moving on along, we have top players in the list where we got to see again 2 players from the sides of Paradox, this time on the 4th and 5th position, but still the kill numbers and damage numbers are certainly really high. Talk about Hazer, 4 kill, 527 damage, 3 kill, 744 damage was what G1 was able to secure. And moving on along with the guy match summary where Jurek is finding himself in the highest kill tally.
Perfect play. Perfect dominating play is being showcased right here. We do have Darksyde also bringing in their stats. 256 longest distance coming in from Klaus. We of course also do have the highest damage brought in from Ego from the side of Nepoz. And of course Paradox's Wiz with maximum assists. 6 assists is what this dude was able to get to his teammate. What a play. What a player. What a play being made from the side of Paradox OCE. Once again, walking away with what perfect game is what this is. 9 kills, 15 placement points of course for the chicken dinner, and they have 24 points for themselves. But another domination was showcased from the side of Nepoz with 10 kills, 10 placement points, thus giving them a total tally of 20 as they move on. Again, we move on to the next page where PUBG Minions not looking too good out of officials, and in Nepal, Illuminate True as well as Ixcel not bringing in the play that was expected off of them. Same can of course be said for four Godawari fighters and Team ZeroDeath as well, but they are still part of this entire saga. That is good. That is all that we can talk about from this game for these 2 teams at least.
Indeed, but the fact of the matter is that since 4 Godawari fighter is not having that good day itself, our official must be happy because they are also having those faltering games. That means their position will not be taken away.
Sure.
Even if it's taken away, that will just be 1 or 2 or 3 points. That means both the teams are successfully faltering down in the same match itself, and both the teams are not looking good for the moment. But talking about the match summary itself, we have Nepoz getting those important damage tally, 2,670 and 10 kills. Then we have Paradox. This time I was surprised to see Paradox. I mean, the numbers was there itself, but Nepoz just tried to dominate the lobby.
Wow, what a play, what a play. When you talk about the teams on the left, well, they're looking really good, but on the right, we did see ZeroDeath right there, who were part of fights, who were again taking in a lot of damage, or rather bring in a lot of damage to the opponent teams, but did not walk away with kills, sadly. And as we move on to the to the overall ranking itself. We do have Paradox OCE from the 100. They have now moved on to 152 as the day started off to 100 point for this team. Now they have 152 points. 52 points in 2 games is what Paradox OCE have been able to showcase. Incredible aggressive force is what Paradox OCE, and it is not going to be easy to bring this team down. On the other front, talk about face of death. I mean, Mercy, he was so close to getting that chicken dinner against the side of Paradox, but of course it was a 3-man squad of Paradox, and had there been just a 2-man army, it probably would have resulted in a 1v1 fight against Mercy, and that is when things could have been onto a different front. But again, when it comes to FOD, they still have not been able to get that chicken dinner, but they do find themselves in the top 8.
Indeed, the top 8 is where, but slowly and steadily, nobody just didn't notice that it is Furix Nepoz that are finding themselves in the top 3, and now they're contesting for the second and the first cloud. That is going to be a difficult task, and before that, they really need to cement the 3rd position well. But PUBG Minion certainly not looking good for the moment, as now Fear 10 from the second half of the chart is also up on no move. So PUBG Minion, 2 successive failures in this last 2 games itself, on the game of Erangel and Miramar itself, but Fear 10 is certainly on the rise, as we just got to see the green signal in front of their name.
Well, the green arrow certainly working in that team's favor with 10 kills is what that team got, along with the 10 placing points. Of course, that is going to give you that boost, and hopefully that boost that they've been able to create moves on along from the second game into the 3rd and the 4th for the day. But with that, it is time for us to go on that short little break. Stick around, we're going to be right back with Sanhok.
Here we go now.
Hello and welcome back once again to PUBG Mobile Club Open for the wildcard region. Things are looking real good for the side of Paradox OCE, as 2 games they have been able to combine get 52 points. But now as we move along, let's have a look at the schedule, where we shall see when it comes to the play that has been able to be made from these teams. The first game was for Team Ronak, where they got the chicken dinner. Second was for Paradox, and now as we move on to the third game on Sanhok, which team will it be? We do not know. But one thing is for sure, that Paradox is going to be bringing themselves up in terms of either... Well, what am I saying? There's no placement point that this team works towards. This team always works towards those kills, and those kills are most certainly, hopefully, going to be favoring Paradox. But we shall see what sort of a playstyle will they be bringing.
Indeed, I mean, last day itself in the game of Sanhok, they got the chicken. And since they are in the momentum, there is a high chance that we have seen in the past that the team that gets chicken in the last match can falter down in the initial stage of the game.
True.
That has been the custom, but it seems that Paradox, they have their eyes set upon, they know the strategies well, and they know what sort of impediments and roadblocks can be made towards them, and they are completely prepped up for that.
With that, let's jump on into the map itself of Sanhok. We've got the flight path on our screens where we will be jumping from the northwestern front. Very, very interesting play being showcased right here from the flight path, where, of course, when it comes down to the eastern front of the map itself, that is going to be a tricky place to glide down towards. But it is not all out, because finally we do, of course, see SCL EnvyUS is here. SCL EnvyUS, I thought they had given up from the previous game, but it seemed like they are back into the arena, and this is going to be once again an interesting play for this team. Even though they're in just with a 3-man squad, doesn't really matter as long as they are here and they are trying their level best. That is what matters the most.
Feriwala is there. Certainly Feriwala is there for this moment. We have seen in the past the lad has been really in that startling performance and has been in that featuring list of MVP or beat with the kill leaders. For the moment, it is going to be them jumping towards the different areas around. In complete split is where they're finding themselves at on the western side of Paradise Resort, and it seems that the fight is really right off the go on as we head towards the fight where Ixcel is up against to the players of PUBG Minion. MVP had the DPS in his hand, and now since he has given that important information, it seems that no one would want to be on the receiving end, because DPS one tap, you are gone.
Well, exactly. That gun will not allow you to stand with the shells coming on to your face and your chest and your entire torso. You are going to be taken care of right off the instant, and in that it is going to be PUBG Minions trying to reign in supreme. But Ixcel is the team that has been able to get the first knock thanks to the nade that has been showcased, and it is none other than Falsey right here, who has fallen down from the side of PUBG Minions. Not the play that was required, but of course this is going to be converted into a kill as well. What a play this has turned out to be, where indeed the two teams are creating those knocks against each other. Trades are being made from one side, a kill has been confirmed from the other, just a knock. But of course, when it comes to the point itself, both these teams are looking at 1 point each. It's a 3v3 situation between these two teams. But the Unions, Oho goes down as he's being now pushed on against the player of Ixcel, and in that it is going to be MVP who tried to get that DPS working for him, but the M249 on the other front, along with, of course, the micro, is going to be working in this team's favor. What a play this has turned out to be. It seems like both these teams are here to completely pincer each other down, and in doing so, they almost were able to bring themselves down to just one man who was able to walk out of that. But thankfully Ixcel do have another player right there who will be given the revival, so that means Ixcel will get the better half of that fight. But at what cost? I mean, they were able to get the kills confirmed for themselves, they were able to get the points confirmed for themselves, but they did end up losing their own two mates as well. So an interesting trade being created right there. But on the other front, it seems like Entity Nepal's Mahang has also been lost to the cause. Not entirely sure what happened right there, did not see the kill feed, but he has also been eliminated, thus leaving ND Nepal with just a 3-man army.
Indeed, I mean, that is going to be the case. Bootcamp was the area of a bit of contestation, as we got to see an all-out war between Ixcel, and obviously that was the team of PUBG Minion, as now slowly and steadily they not be moving, but they must be pretty happy towards the positioning points they are standing at this moment, as now Team Ronak is finding himself on the edge of the Camp Alpha Island, as Hathin is completely being utilized by ZeroDeath. As soon as the circle may go for a shift, they might tend to go to the same area, but SCL EnvyUS, they need to be pretty much careful in terms of what they are at, because Paradox is in the closer vicinity, and if they find themselves under crosshair, it is going to be the G1 that will be striking a blow onto the face of it, as now slowly and steadily the players are moving toward the safe side, and this is not looking good for SCL EnvyUS to be particularly
well. With that, they've got another team that is going to be close proximity to each other. That's going to be FOD, Face of Death, against the players of 4 Godawari fighters in the Painan region, where we can very well anticipate an interesting play that could be created from the side of 4 Godawari fighters, as they have the safety of the compound. But it seems like FOD are not really interested. They were in the vicinity, but have now decided to move away from that situation. On the other front, go on towards the northern front. It is going to be Paradox OCE taking on the players of SCL EnvyUS. SCL EnvyUS were able to bring in a lot of damage to G1, and what a play that was from the side of Shafi, where he will be bringing that nade parade, and it seems like G1 will not be allowed to crawl his way to safety because his teammates will not be able to help him. He will be lost to the cause. SCL EnvyUS will be able to get that 1 kill confirmed for themselves, that 1 point to themselves. But what an interesting start to the side of SCL EnvyUS, where this team has been able to bring down, well, none other than Paradox OCE's player. And what is happening? Hazer not happy right there. Hazer certainly not happy right there. With G1 being lost to the cause, Hazer is going to be like, damn you, SCL EnvyUS. But again, they have been able to eliminate their opponents. They have been able to confirm 3 kills for themselves. Thus, 3 points is what Paradox will be looking pretty comfortable with. Now, this is a conversation I did have in the previous game. When it comes to Paradox and their early rotation, if they're caught in the early rotations, that is when Paradox can be faltered down. And that is exactly what happened right there against SCL EnvyUS. But as the game progresses on along, Paradox just completely builds that momentum and rolls on across and completely steamrolls against their opponents. And that is where things go absolutely in that team's favor. But now we're back to the team that we see make a rotation from the Painan region. That's going to be none other than 4 Godawari fighters against the players of Face of Death.
But this is for sure that we are to an explosive start as the team are just trying to take the fight. We talk about Face of Death, we talk about 4 Godawari fighters. They are in the same proximity and they are not allowing 4 Godawari fighters to have a safe passage to a safe move. But certainly G1 from the sides of Paradox OC really had that soft elimination because he was just too much overconfident. He should have preempted that a grenade could actually be lobbed in onto his face, and that was certainly being hurled from the sides of SCL EnvyUS. The last player surviving that was obviously of Shafi, and not realizing the fact it was too quick from the sides of Shafi. He knew that he will be taken down. It's just a matter of seconds, and before going down, why not to secure 1 kill and make a big blow and dent onto the face of Paradox OC. And as you perfectly mentioned, it's the early fight itself if Paradox find themselves into where they just succumb to at least 1 or 2 player, and this might hurt their chances in getting close towards either racking in terms of total of kill points or racking a total of placement points, because this is one team at any particular day, if not able to get those kill points, the team will be getting that chicken. If not chicken, they will be getting the kill points, vice versa. That happens for the soul. But as soon as that happens, it is gonna be Team Ronak trying to pin down the players from ZeroDeath, and AKM with 3x is where we are getting to see the changes in meta.
Well, what a play. Team Ronak find themselves in a very interesting position right here against the players of ZeroDeath indeed, as they have been able to confirm a knock, but a kill has not yet been given. That means a point has not been taken for Team Ronak for now. We are 7 minutes into the game. Both these teams find themselves in a little bit of a stalemate situation where they do know where their opponents are, and it is going to be just a matter of time before a flank can be created from the side of Team ZeroDeath, because for Ronak, they have the compound working for them, and the compound is the only thing that is going to be working in terms of that defense. As soon as they get out of that compound, well, they are going to be out in the open, and Team ZeroDeath will have that information. But before ZeroDeath is able to create any of those flanks, it is going to be, of course, their teammate that they will not be able to give that revival to, and that is none other than the UMP using guy, Smoken. Well, that's what it has turned out to be.
It is certainly going to be the case, as now Team Ronak is still in that situation. But it seems that Team ZeroDeath, I mean, they know the very exactly the positioning of Team Ronak. But Team Ronak, and talk about this team. In this last 2 game itself, in earlier 2 days of regional finals, this is not a team that really tried to take up the fight. And certainly this is the case. They are not trying to take up the fight. Rather, they are just defending their fort. Rather, they are just trying to defend those small little huts where they are positioned. Because 1 knock, they could have gone for the push because there was some sort of vehicles, and that was certainly could have been the case. Just imagine a team of Paradox, or maybe from the sides of Fears of Death. That can be the case. But Team Ronak, this is one team that really don't aggress in the early stage of the game. Rather, they wait for the last circle, the second last circle to aggress, and that has resulted themselves in getting a lot of placement points, and they have been on that success of ladder. But talking about this team, Illuminate Crew, I mean, they were really looking fantastic in that semi-finals itself, but regional finals, last 10 matches has not been their case. Last 10 matches has not been their best suit forward. They really need to have their eyes set upon, but as soon as we got to see, it is now going to be Team Ronak that have to anyhow take the fight, as now it is going to be 4 Godawari fighters. Zeems Gaming is on a charge, on a different tangent. They are taking the fight, but the fight that we are getting to see is along the area of Bridge, where we are getting to see Legends Esports just not allowing the teams from the sides of I8 Crew, Eliminate Crew to make a move into the circle, as now Sese Hang is finding himself in the open position. But certainly the Legends are finding themselves into the water. At least 1 knock and 1 kill is what I expect from Eliminate Crew.
They should be able to, but again, keep in mind that there is a flank that has been created, or rather, I should say a cover that has been created from the side of the Legends, where we do have Carl on that bridge along with his teammate, who will be given that suppressing fire to their team if at all they get caught making that rotation in towards the comfort of the zone. But talking about Eliminate Crew, well, they are out of options is what I would say. They are going to have to use utilities. As soon as they do so, they will be given away the information as to which side are they going to be making that push from. And again, when it comes down to the positioning that we see Eliminate Crew make, well, it is the Legends who are at the forefront of this entire fight, but what sort of a play can be anticipated from the side of Eliminate Crew? Only time will tell. For now, it is certainly a stalemate situation that these teams find themselves in. The Legends are very comfortable on that bridge to the position that they find themselves in. On the other front, when it comes down to Eliminate Crew, well, they are kind of pincered down. They're going to have to make that flank and get themselves moving along. But as soon as they do so, the Legends could get the X Factor. The only way I see this fight resulting, or rather even taking place, would be a third-party situation that could be brought on. Just the same way we saw Team Ronak trying to take on the fight against ZeroDeath, but it was four Godawari fighters who brought in that third-party situation against them and just brought that team down. But in doing so, it is the Legends, yes, that are part of the better half of the fight, as they have been able to pincer down the opponent team, and it is going to be none other than Eliminate Crew who has taken that first knock.
Indeed, I mean, Eliminate Crew has got the first knock in the favor, I mean, but certainly Cobra OP has gone down and the Legend Esports are up on a charge. But still, the fight is completely far-fetched approach, as now Legend Esports are now trying to engulf the player with two different players that have crossed the stream, and it seems that the Eliminate Crew players really know all the positioning of Odin, or be it be the players that are in the same vicinity. And Hang, it seems that where he is looking up to, he knows the exact position. With Tampe finding himself on the bridge, it is going to be Carl, one more player closing to where the two players are actually positioned, with Odin along with the players. They are looking good at this moment, but On Fire is really on top at this moment, as one knock that we talked about. Our recommendation, our advisors have been listened, as now we got to see one knock, one kill confirmed. But Cobra OP is slowly and steadily bleeding off, but it seems he needs the revival, and it seems the revival is gonna be the case, as now the players are getting the revival done.
Wow, what a play this has turned out to be, where Eliminate Crew's player has certainly been given a revival, but on the other front, when it comes down to the side of the Legends, they have already lost one of them and they were not able to make that rotation. So it did seem like the side of the Legends were the one who were going to be reigning in supreme, as they were the first ones to be able to get that kill confirmed, or rather that knock confirmed for themselves against Cobra. But Cobra has been given the revival on the other tangent when it comes down to the side of the Legends. Now they are at the receiving end, and talk about the zone itself. The zone is looking pretty neat, because from the northern side it is going to be Paradox that are going to be entering the arena, and as they do, there's going to be no other team in the vicinity to stop them in their tracks. A three-man squad is what Para find themselves with this time around on this map of Sanhok. On the defense, the team of Fear 10 are taken in a complete domination against the players of PUBG Nepoz, and this has resulted in Hades confirming a kill for himself, confirming a point for himself, and PUBG Nepoz nonetheless have lost one of their players. Ego is going to be bringing in that perfect nade parade. What a bounce that was, but it will not be giving any damage whatsoever at all. And on the other front, when it comes down to On Fire from the side of Illuminate, he is now going to be making a rotation really difficult and tricky for the side of Team Ronak, because we just saw in the kill feed, it was the team of Team Ronak making a very close proximity rotation against the players of I8.
And that's resulting themselves getting a lot of kill points for the moment, as now Team Ronak, while passing by, they really try to pin down the players of Eliminate Crew, and now they're going down. But the fight is still on between Nepoz and Fear 10, as now they're going down slowly and slowly. AK Holly goes down thanks to that on-spot grenade from the sides of Cobra OP, from the sides of obviously Eliminate Crew. But Nepoz need to make sure that they don't get sandwiched or backstabbed, because they are finding themselves in the open situation. And since the circle is in the third shift, 13 minutes 42 seconds, that means a lot of team will be making a close in. Whenever they see and hear a lot of shots being peppered, they will be making a close in. Cobra OP gets that one kill that he really hurled upon onto the players of Team Ronak, and AK Horik must have been gone down from that fight. But still, Nepos are just not overcommitting in all these fights. It is gonna be 4 Godawari fighters, Zeems Gaming, taking the fight against Face of Death.
Absolutely, and they have been able to bring down the players. Right here on our screens, of course, we are looking at the stalemate situation, the fight that has been going on since the past 2 to 3 minutes between the players of Nepoz against the players of Fear 10, and now it is going to be Nepoz bringing in the nade parade against the players of, well, Fear 10. And Fear 10 are going to have to be really careful, because they otherwise are going to be burnt alive, and that is exactly what has happened, where Aldars perfectly set up Molotov is going to be resulting in Ego going down. This is not looking good because two players are still remaining from the side of PU10 onto the other compound altogether, and they're going to be trying to give that cover fire, but will it be enough? Because those two players, Injuric as well as Aldar, they are going to have to be very cautious. No, on the other, from the side of PU10, my apologies, it is going to be Evil Lord as well as Ragnar who are going to be really careful as they try and make this push and rush, and ouch moment right there. Had that nade gotten onto the target, it could have been a knock and a kill rather confirmed for the side of from the side of FURIX Nepoz, but in doing so, Ego has certainly been given that revival. A perfectly set up nade is now going to be showcased from both the sides. FURIX Nepoz are at the receiving end as well as, of course, Fiat10 Ragnar, as both these teams know exactly where they are placed, but now it is going to be up to FURIX Nepoz as to what sort of a play will they be creating. Yes, the nades have been utilized to perfection, but will it be enough to stop Fiat10 from that aggressive stance that they have been able to create for themselves?
It has been a long time since I have seen personally a fight getting elongated to this extent in the area of Painan, still not getting sandwiched, still not getting third party. I mean, this is bizarre, to be honest, because there are still 14 teams alive in this vicinity, and I really want some team to make a charge in and then bring that extra masala, and then we can get to see. But certainly, Painan is where the circle is favoring, and then now again, it is going to be 4 Godawari fighters finding themselves in the safe haven, and it's their home. They need to dominate, they need to take up the fight. We have seen them getting down from third to 4th to 6th placement position is where they are finding in the overall ranking, and they need at least one good game, and it is going to be the one opportunity they really need to calibrate upon to. They really need to capitalize upon to that. It is going to be Rogue Nation that is also trying to capitalize. Now they're trying to pin down the players of ZeroDeath with Glitchwire going down. It is going to be a tough challenge for ZeroDeath to take a fight because they are already down with the numbers advantage. But on a different tangent, it is going to be Zeus. They're getting that one kill, but now it is going to be 4 Godawari fighter. As we just mentioned about, Odin goes down from the side of the Legend, and it seems that 4 Godawari fighters are really looking up to take the fight and make the most of this situation.
They most certainly are. I mean, the kill feed is certainly being brought on alive from the side of 4 Godawari fighters again and again as they take on the fights. I would love to see what sort of a point tally have they been able to accumulate for themselves, but on the other front, it is going to be the side of RF officials who are going to be making that rotation and to get into the comfort of the zone. It is going to be the 4th zone, and in doing so, it is Darksyde who have been eliminated. Team ZeroDeath were at one moment against the players of 4 Godawari fighters, and that is where they've lost 2 of the players, Smoken as well as Glitch, is from the looks of it, but they still have 2 players remaining, and the 2 players are certainly going to be pushing on along with an aggressive stance and will be confirming a kill for themselves, and it is going to be NEPAL now left with just a 2-man army for themselves as well. So this is going to be a 2v2 situation where 1v1 Easy is going to try and bring in those nade parades against the players of ZeroDeath, and Pot Eye as well as Captain of Blood is going to be having to get themselves set up. But in the kill feed, we can finally see FURIX Nepoz are just reigning in supreme against the players of Fiat10, and in doing so have been able to push against the compound of Fiat10, and FURIX Nepoz now find themselves in the center of the zone. As the circle did make a shift, we found those 2 teams and their compounds to be the center, and this has not turned out to be what Captain of Blood anticipated, because it's his blood that is probably going to be spilled if he's not too careful with that nade as well as the Molotov parade that he's trying to bring the onslaught against the opponents.
Indeed, it is going to be the case with Paradox. Viz goes down, Israel goes down, Rogue Nation along with Hitman are hitting them with a brutal force, and it is going to be Hazer, the last press standing, as Blotter perfectly mentioned at the start of the game, at the initial stage of the game. It's the early fight if Paradox fight themselves into. It was SCL EnvyUS that really took the fight. G1 goes down, and then it really faltered down, and now they are really faltering down. Just a matter of time where Rogue Nation, all the 3 players will be charging upon to them. It is not going to be an easy task for them because it's one player that is still able to take the fight, but the pressure is where they might be succumbing down, and yes, there we go. Zeus taking the fight in his own hand, eliminating Para Hazard. Along with that, 3 kill is what he has been able to secure, and that has completely decimated the team of Paradox OCE.
Well, what a play coming in from the side of that team, and it was Zeus, the man who was able to reign in supreme with 3 kills that he's been able to confirm. With that, we've got 10 teams remaining as ZeroDeath also goes down. Now, with the 10 teams remaining, we're 19 minutes in, and the circle is constricting and, of course, restricting so many of these teams to make those rotations. We're in the 5th zone, and the Blues are going to be catching up to these teams in just a matter of seconds. 5 seconds is what it takes, and as that happens, we are looking at Mr. Tempe right here from the side of the Legends, who is trying to get some points for his team. They have 0 points for now. On the other front, when it comes down to FOD, Face of Death, a team that certainly does want want to get the kills confirmed for themselves, but are not being allowed to do so. Right here, it is going to be Gara, who is just playing with the blue zone from the looks of it. He's trying to get that information retaliated against his teammates. That's going to be AG on the other front of this area, but will that be allowed? No is the answer from the side of Mr. Tampei, and he will be getting the better half of that fight. But the kill for now has not been confirmed because he's going to be working towards getting the revival first. And of course, with all of this, 4 Godawari fighters are also in the vicinity. They are just so very quiet. They're just waiting. They're just patiently waiting. And now this is the moment where they will shine. They've got 2 kills confirmed, of course, but now is when they will shine, because in the Spainan region, this team has the numbers advantage with all 4 players alive. On the other front, when it comes to the map, on the kill field itself, it is going to be i8 on fire, who is bringing down the player of Rogue, and Zeus and his teammates are being dropped down to their knees.
Rakesh takes the kill. He takes the kill of the Legend, and final players falls down as now domination mode is where Felix Nepoz at large stands at this moment. 3 kills what he able to secure, and he's the only player surviving. With FOT only one surviving, it is going to be AJ with 1 kill whatsoever. It is not going to be an easy task as he's not trying to make a rotation, but where he is heading towards, it is going to be all 4 players from the sides of Royal Official. So we're talking about this situation. In the last 2 games itself, Royal Official did falter on, 4 Godawari did falter on. In this game itself, all the 4 players from sides of 4 Godawari are still there, Royal Official are still there. So some sort of different connection is actually happening, and this time itself, whichever team gets more and more kill points, gets the chicken, will be the one that will be making a move into the top 3.
Absolutely, we've got 4 teams remaining. FURIX Nepoz with a 3-man army have been able to confirm 8 kills for themselves. I8 crew right there with 5 kills, as we can clearly see, and it is going to be, of course, the 3-man squad from the side of I8 as well that are going to be trying to reign in supreme. But in all of this, it is finally 4 Godawari fighters who are bringing in that onslaught against the opponents that they find themselves, and this is where the team is reigning in supreme to get the kills confirmed for themselves. I8 on fire was the man who was bringing in quite a lot of kills for himself as well, but now it seems like those will be stolen away because 4 Godawari fighters are in the arena.
They are on a move, they are on charge. Just the 4 kills, but the courage and the valor is certainly helping them getting closer towards where they're. But FURIX Nepoz are also taking a big toll onto them, and thanks, it seems that 4 Godawari fighters must thanks to the players of FURIX Nepoz, as now they're really helping them with 4 Godawari fighters really trying to decimate the lobby. It seems that it is going to be the end of Royal Official, as now they have left the lobby with all the 3 players alive from the sides of FURIX Nepoz. This is going to be a tough task, as now ZeroDeath, he falls down. Eliminate crew on a charge. High was on a roll until and unless he was taken care of, as now Rakesh GG takes the final nail in the coffin. 3 kill is where he's standing at this moment. He is on the domination mode, and in doing so, it is going to be just the 2 teams alive, but certainly the zone and the terrain is favoring FURIX Nepoz. If 4 Godawari fighter needs to get that chicken dinner, they really have to pull out some Herculean task. They really have to pull out some extra effort, because FURIX Nepoz, they are looking completely furious. They are standing at 11 kills at this moment, and they won't be shying away. They won't be relentless in taking this fight for sure.
They most certainly are going to be pushing on along to get the kill confirmed as well as the chicken dinner confirmed for themselves, but they are up against a team that has been so very consistent. That's going to be none other than FURIX Nepoz. Both these teams need those points, but talk about Aldar and Enduric. 5 kills for both those players from the side of FURIX Nepoz. An incredible momentum is what FURIX Nepoz is rolling along with, but when it comes down to 4 Godawari fighters, they better get themselves acclimated into the zone, because they are not in the comfort of the zone for the moment. And when it comes to, of course, the king of the hill situation and advantage, it is FURIX Nepoz who are going to be reigning in supreme. But will they be able to capitalize with just the 3-man that they are? Well, it seems like from the minimap they are, because they've created that flank angle absolutely to perfection. And as soon as 4 Godawari fighters chime in along on towards that top, it is going to be a perfect onslaught that can be brought on against them from the side of FURIX Nepoz. As we can clearly see right here, Aldar with the smokes is going to be creating that flank for himself. Ego is the man who is absolutely baiting the side of 4 Godawari fighters, and 4 Godawari fighters, they're all bunched up together. One Molotov, nade parade, and that could be the very end of this team. 4 Godawari fighters have played better fights and showcased some better synergistic plays, but this time around, the strategy that they're going up with, it seems to be a bit questionable. But nevertheless, of course, for now it is working for them, as both these teams are going to be absolutely taking that snail's approach and not going to be given any audio cues or information to any of the teams.
Get separated. get separated, do the or you will be torn apart, and this is going to be the prime objective of Furex Nepoz, as now they're trying to find themselves in the position with Ego holding the charge, and Ninjurik and then Eldar is still on the back end side. Eldar tries to make a smoke just in order to blind that angle, but Zeems Gaming, it seems that he is going to be the one snake that is going to be biting with the large force. Indeed, that is going to be a massive thing if he tries to backstab them. It seems that Ego is watching onto different direction, and Zeems Gaming is also not aware of his position, so both the teams are in this situation. But all these grass, all these tropical rainforests are helping both the teams. But now Ego has his height set upon, and now Zeems Gaming goes down, and this brings the opening knock. And not only the knock, 12 kill is where they're standing, and this leaves down to 3v3 affair from the sides of Furex Nepoz, where Rakesh, Sabine and Zero are still standing. Ego still on a charge. He knows where the exact position is for the moment. It is going to be Rakesh that will be trying to take the fight. One more player has been spotted down. Zero goes down, and all of a sudden it is looking so very bleak for this moment, as now Ego in all these fights have brought 2 knock, 2 kill, and this is not going to be a good thing, as Rakesh is still on the back foot. He will be taken care of as now, but doing so, it is going to be Sabine GG surviving a sliver of an HP, but as soon as he gets his location revealed, it is going to be Ninjurik taking care of him, and the last player, Rakesh GG, is still surviving. He is giving a huge amount of resistance, but Ninjurik with his M416 trying to take up the fight before that happens. It is going to be Aldar that will be taking care of the last player surviving from the sides of 4 Godawari fighters, and a chicken that Furex Nepoz was really trying hard from the last 3 matches. It is the game, it is the time with 15 total kills right off the go at the 15 points. Last game itself, it was Fear of Death itself. This time it is going to be Furex Nepoz.
Well, with 30 points is what this team walks away with, finding themselves on the overall ranking on the 2nd position. Furex Nepoz certainly did steal that chicken dinner away from the side of 4 Godawari fighters, because the momentum that Furex Nepoz have been showcasing throughout the day has been absolutely working in that team's favor. But again, it was a questionable strat that was showcased from the side of 4 Godawari fighters in that final few moments of the circle, because they were just so clustered up, and along with that, of course, it is going to be at the advantageous position for the side of Furex Nepoz, because the high ground worked in that team's favor, and it was certainly not going to be helping 4 Godawari fighters, but just defense is what that team could work towards. With that, it's time to move on to the MVP, and the most valuable player coming in has to be Ninjurik, with 7 kills confirmed for the dude, along with the 2 assists. 761 damage is what this dude was able to dish out. An amazing turn of events for the side of Furex Nepoz, and Ninjurik is the man of the hour from this team. Along with that, we move on to the top players list, where yes, the MVP is that one who reigned in supreme, but along with that, there were other teams and other players who were so very close to the exact same spot because of the stats that they were able to bring on towards themselves and their team, and that is where top players list is going to be chiming in.
Definitely, top player list will also define what sort of confidence, what sort of different players are coming in. Certain players are got to be in that side. Talk about 4 Godawari fighter Rakesh GG. His contribution towards the last of the circle was really good. He was the one last player standing from their side. Players were falling down slowly and steadily, because Ego from the sides of Furex Nepoz got all those 2-3 kills in the same vicinity. Eventually it was 3 at the end of the game. Before that fight eventually took place, it was 0 in his number, and all of a sudden he took 3 players down, and that was a big dead. We talk about the positioning of Ego. He was the one that really made it look possible for him, because Zeems Gaming was just not able to find him, and in doing so, it was him also getting all those 4 maximum assists. So he was the one that really made it possible for the moment, and their team really got the chicken. And not only chicken, the 15 important kill points and the 30 points has certainly helped their future look more bright.
Well, what a play this was for 4 Godawari fighters as well as Furex Nepoz, along with Illuminate True. The teams have walked away with a lot of points for themselves, but Furex Nepoz completely reigning in supreme with 15 kills, 15 placement points. Of course, that was just a GG play. On the other front, talk about Paradox OCE. They were caught a little bit off guard thanks to Rogue Nation's approach and onslaught that was brought against Paradox's rotation, and in doing so, of course, Rogue Nation eliminated Paradox, but before they could, Paradox certainly got those 4 kills and that 1 placement point, thus giving them still 5 points, and this is going to be adding on to the tally that they've been able to create and the lead that they've been able to create against the entirety of the lobby in the overall standings.
Indeed, it is going to be a Paradox OC. I mean, this is one bad game that we just got to see after a very long time. It has been long, not even in yesterday's gameplay that it just secured 5 total points, but there is just no ending of the miseries of the teams that are still on the last half of the chart. Talk about the 15 standing chart, 16 team Darksyde, SCL EnvyUS, PUBG Minion Esports, the 2-3 points that they have been taking care of from each match, that has also been one consistent way to take away something from this match.
Well, with that, we are going to be moving on towards the damage histograph right there, and the damage histograph when brought on will be showcasing what sort of a play style was showcased, because PDX Nepoz walking away with 15 kills. With 15 kills, that means a lot of fights is what that team was a part of, and when it comes to those fights, well, that certainly worked in this team's favor, and that was just a perfect onslaught that team brought against the entirety of the team. And talking about that, we do have 2,243 damage that Fury X Nippers were a part of. No other team, not even close to the 1,500 marker, whereas 2,243 is what Fury X Nippers is finding themselves on. Once again though, on to the other front, it is Darksyde not having a decent outing.
Indeed, and not only them, it is going to be PUBG Minion along with SCL EnvyUS. Team ZeroDeath. I mean, this team was at the second position at the start of the day, and once the overall ranking will stand, we'll get to see, because as Fury X Nepoz are getting a lot of good games indeed. Last game itself, Tricks from the sides of Fury X Nepoz was the MVP featuring one, and this time it is Ninjuric itself, and not only that, they got those important 30 points. So certainly Team ZeroDeath will be getting a huge amount of heat coming in from the teams from the bottom of the chart, and this time Fury X Nepoz really made it look happen. And Royal Official also getting some important placement points, and those kill numbers and damage was also one good thing. And talking about the overall ranking, we were talking about, will Fury X Nepoz be able to counter the total point? They will be, as now one green arrow upward side. That certainly means Fury X Nepoz are getting away, and certainly now they are trying to chase away Paradox OCE all of a sudden.
They try, but of course Paradox OCE has a different play in mind altogether. On the other front, when it comes to Face of Death, this team has yet not been allowed to get that chicken dinner, but they have been moving up slowly but surely and find themselves on that 6th spot, along with which, of course, Team Ronak and Rogue Nation are on the 7th and 8th with 97 points, and then a big leap down onto the 8th spot is Rogue Nation with 66 points. So quite a lot of difference right there, but as we move on down from the 8th position to the 9th, 66 to 64 and 62 on the 10th position, so there is still a lot of opportunity from the 8th to the 12th position teams to be able to get themselves in the top 8.
Indeed, I mean, there is not much of point difference, just the 5-6, and that can be easily catered in just one match, and that is obviously going to be of the Erangel that is still left for the day. And I would love to see if any team from 9 to 10, talk about Entity Nepal, talk about Legends Esports, eliminate Fear the Fear 10. The team has not been consistent enough to find themselves in that position, but still those patchy performance has resulted themselves in not just letting other teams fly away with the points, and we just got to see the team standing on the 8th position, pretty much the same points table tally shading with the teams that was on the 12th position, with Entity Nepal now slipping on the 2nd of the chart. They really need one good game.
Well, with that, it is just one game remaining for the day. When it comes to the final eventuality, it is looking bleak for a few of those teams. When it comes to the final leaderboard, the overall leaderboard, the second page, when it comes to those teams, it is looking real bleak for them to absolutely be able to participate in that. But never mind all of that, because we still do have that one more game remaining. But before we jump into that final game on Erangel, it is time to go on that short little break. We're going to be right back.
Here we go now.
Welcome once again to, of course, PMCO Wildcard Region. When it comes to the games, we've got 3 games done, 1 final game remaining. Let's have a look at the schedule to just recap what has happened thus far. We started the day on Erangel, of course, where Team Ronak got the chicken dinner, moved on to Miramar, where Paradox were reigning in supreme, and on Sanhok, it was Fury x Nepoz that completely dominated the entirety of the chart. But now, finally, as we move on to the final game of the day on Erangel, it is anybody's game for the taking, but we do know that there are going to be a few of those teams that are going to be contesting to get those kills for themselves, and this time around we shall see if Paradox will be allowed to move on towards the domination streak or not.
I guess it will be more that we are just asking for them, because the domination that Paradox OC has been showing throughout the day, it's just that whenever they just faltered on, still 9 or 8 total points that they take from the match, and that's what the standard of the bar that they have set. But I really want teams from 8 to 12 somewhere down the line to get at least one more chicken. We just saw NEPAL, even if they are getting the chicken, they have slipped down to the second half of the chart. And not only that, it is also a time that Eliminate2 now have to start performing, because at the end of this day, it will just the last 4 matches for tomorrow's gameplay that will be left to showcase a performance.
Well, with that, it is time, without further ado, to jump into the final game of the day. It is going to be Erangel. Let's have the fight path on our screens, and we shall see where exactly will the domination begin from this time around. It is going to be from the northeastern front of Savoni and Stalberg, where the flight path is going to be starting off, going all the way towards the western southern front of the map altogether, and that is going to be allowing so many of these teams to, well, not go towards the Milta power that we've seen. But of course, when it comes to the play itself, this is where we do have the opportunity, or other teams have the opportunity to get themselves acclimated towards the Georgia pool, and of course that is where we've seen quite a lot of contestations being taken on or gone from these teams as well in the lobby. But most of the times now, as the tournament has been going on for quite some time, most of the times we do not really see a lot of contestations, because the teams have gotten themselves a separate, segregated location for each and every one of them. And of course, in that, we've got Entity Nepal going up towards Savoni, along with Ixcel going towards the Zarki region from the looks of it. And it is going to be an interesting play where the Legends find themselves towards Yasnaya Poliana. And again, when I was just talking about it, this is where the teams, of course, are going to find themselves in the comfort of those drop locations. But will they be able to get the kills? Will they be able to get the placement points when you've got every single game today that has happened? Every single game has resulted in one team or two just completely decimating the lobby and taking the kills for themselves, and that's what ends up happening. And this time around, it is SCL EnvyUS once again going against Paradox's G1. Seems like SCL EnvyUS have a rivalry to sort out against the players of Paradox, and it is going to be none other than G1 once again that has been pincered down. So, Hazer, what exactly is he going to be doing? Last time we saw he completely finished a mag in the crate that was left when SCL EnvyUS were completed, but this time around, again, his teammate has been knocked on down, and not only knocked but confirmed kill. But along with that, it is an aggressive start in this lobby this time around, where it is going to be the side of course, for Godawari fighters also taking on a fight and confirming a point for themselves.
Exactly, the start that the full Godawari fighters were looking for. This is what they have got. In last game itself, they found themselves in the second position itself in terms of total placement points. The did secure kill point was also favoring them, but all of a sudden the ruckus and the turmoil is building, and since there was no way the teams could have gone towards the area of military base, it seems that now 4 Godawari fighters are on a roll, finding themselves into the area of school apartments. They might be trying to take up the fight, as in the closer vicinity in the main school compound, we just got to see PUBG Minion, and since it was not an easy task for them, it was certainly impossible to glide towards the area of military base. They just found themselves a safe haven into the area of school. For the moment, it is going to be safe haven for themselves, but as soon as they found themselves in the open position, it is not going to be an easy task. But G1 has certainly got one more life, as now the players have gotten the revival. But this time itself, it seems by the looks of it that the SCL EnvyUS are again 3 men strong, and this is a number disadvantage that can really dent their future if they are trying to take a fight. A team as big as Paradox OCE, you have to have all the 4 players alive.
Well, that is so true indeed, and that is something that does not stop the onslaught coming in from the side of Paradox, even if it's a 3-man or a 2-man squad from the side of this team. But of course, when it comes to the play that can be anticipated from this team, it is going to be domination. It is certainly going to be domination, but will SCL EnvyUS be ready and prepared for that sort of a domination against themselves or not is what we shall have to see. And of course, for now, the team are looking pretty comfortable as they've been able to get decently set up loot for themselves. We do have Faik right here on our screens from the side of SCL EnvyUS, who is going to try and get the information working for him. And on the other front, when it comes to Paradox OCE, the team seems to be wanting to get away from the fight. Or no, they're not. They're just creating a flank angle for themselves. Just 1 HP. Just 1 HP left on Faik right there, and he was still able to get himself moving away from that onslaught that was brought from this perfectly flank angle that Viz finds himself in.
Definitely a very brilliant spray from the sides of Viz. That DP really made it hampering situation for the sides of SCL. But thankfully, he had that first trade, and thankfully, he has all the 4 players alive. But it seems that now Viz is on a charge, and this is going to be, a tough affair because the gunpowder is certainly into the favor of SCL and EnvyUS. We have seen all these lads trying to just show the prowess, and this one grenade, if the players on the sides of Paradox are in that warehouse, that can really be a detrimental situation. But no, it seems that they are in the 3rd warehouse, and the middle one is just being completely vanquished. But for the moment, it is going to be Paradox that are on a move, that are just trying to rotate with 3 players deployed on the one side of this warehouse. Viz is still there to take care of the rotation. If SCL just try to do between all these 2 warehouses, we got to see the small space, and they can really make it happen. But M249, the bullets have been peppered down, and see that Paradox are retreating away from the situations. Now they're finding themselves on the entry, the territory that marks the entry of Judgepool is where they're finding, and all the 4 players are on a roll. Is it going to be enough for them to take away from the situation? But as soon as that happens, it seems that they are certainly retreating away from the situation. Completely not able to understand the process because the gunfire that they have brought, and they're still finding themselves at the position, but they really don't want to take any sort of risk because there is certainly something that Paradox can lose, those PMPL slots, those money, but certainly SCL and EnvyUS now they don't have anything more to lose because they are finding themselves at the 16th position right throughout this tournament, and maybe they can just get more and more little bucks into the favor, but there was certainly one big danger that has been averted from the sides of Paradox OCE.
Yep, not anticipated. Certainly not anticipated that SCL EnvyUS will be able to completely push Paradox away from that position. And as Paradox do so in just this one Dacia that they are in, it is going to be a tricky affair for them because now they are going to be getting into the crosshairs of I8, and it is going to be none other than On Fire who is going to be obliterating the side of Para, and in doing so, he is going to be getting that one knock confirmed for himself, where it is going to be Erangel from the looks of it who will be knocked and will be perhaps sent back into the lobby with I8, confirming that kill. Yes, this team of Para is not having a good start to the game because Paradox have been brought down to a 3-man squad.
Azrael goes down 3 men. Again, the start that they were not looking for. And I guess we can bring again the same sort of point that we talked about in the game of Sanhok. When Paradox takes those early fights, and in that, if they falters down, that eventually has been twice in back-to-back matches. This is where Paradox can actually falter down. And now they're finding themselves in the Jodhpur city itself, again finding himself in a crosshair and a closer proximity where Team Ronak, it seems by the looks of it, are already present. So anywhere they are going, whatever with the place, whatever with the thing, they are finding a lot of team in the same vicinity. And by the looks of it, it also seems that the circle is also constructing in the same area, because whenever we got to see those circles, some teams really look to have a control of all those Mount Everest that we get to see on the southern side of Jodhpur, and that can certainly be this case.
Absolutely. On the front, when it comes to Team Ronak, they probably have the information, they probably got the audio cue that there was a car that moved on to the compound that is going to be in their vicinity, and little do they know that that is going to be none other than Paras players who have moved on into their neighborhood. And as they do so, will Team Ronak be wanting to retaliate, or will they be trying to just completely hold their ground is what we shall have to see. For the moment, it seems the latter, but of course, it is only a matter of time before things are going to be moving on along. On the other front, when it comes down to Team Ronak, they are trying to take on a fight against the positioning of, I believe that is I8's car that is going to be on top of that mountain, and that is going to be moving on along. I8 the team Ronak is not going to be able to get any damage on towards that, but on the other front of the map altogether, we have the Legends player taking on the players of ZeroDeath, and Captain O'Blood is the man who has gotten a lot of bullets into him, and Glitchwire also not looking too good, Pot-Eyed not looking too good. This is going to be quite an onslaught that has been brought on to the players of ZeroDeath from the side of the Legends, as one by one the players of ZeroDeath have been brought down to their knees, and in doing so almost being eliminated. They still do have players remaining, they still do have the opportunity to give the revival that's going to be from the side of ZeroDeath, but the Legends are most certainly reigning in supreme against the positioning of ZeroDeath.
Legends being the Legends, now they are also trying to make a move and trying to have an influential gameplay. Till now they haven't had so, but still they are really trying hard. And we talked about the teams from 8 to 12, and they must be finding themselves in the same position, and they are eyeing upon to get to the top 7 or top 8 spot at this end of gameplay today, because this game will mark the end of day 3, and tomorrow will be the last game itself for the regional finals, and then we'll get to see which team is going to be the crown champion, obviously, for this, and obviously the one slot, and obviously the prize money that will be taken care of. But as soon as PUBG Minion makes a push onto the players of SCL, it seems that the gunpowder all of a sudden is certainly helping them. As soon as OHO makes a come in, it is a real teamwork that is working in tandem, and all of a sudden the players are in a ruckus situation. The players are getting unsettled, as now we are getting to see some real quick situation, some real quick decision coming in from the sides of SCL EnvyUS, and all the 3 players are charging in from different directions. It is going to be a tough task for SCL to survive in this vicinity, because we got to see 2-3 teams are also available in the same vicinity. On the mount, we got to see 1 player still alive, but before that happened, it is going to be PUBG Minion itself that will be taking care of Faik, as now 1 player falls down, but Shafi takes down Maga. Some real amount of detrimental damage is being going from different players from different teams, and this now leaves in a cataclysm for both these teams. But now PUBG Minion is up to the charge. They are going in, rather going for the revival. They are just waiting, and they are just going in to take down the players. Some grenades, some utilities are being used, but stun is where he is finding himself into the same thing.
Absolutely, he was trying to stun the players of SCL EnvyUS, but eventually ended up stunning himself, but that's no problem whatsoever at all, because that will give SCL the advantage to get that revival for themselves. And away from the distance, we did see Smoke in the final player from the side of ZeroDeath making rotation as well, and now it is going to be SCL EnvyUS after having made that perfect revive, going to be pushing on towards the players of PUBG Minions. And what a spray Shafi has been able to create in that. It is his might, it is his fight. There is nothing stopping this dude from taking this fight, but that was a moment, that was just a little moment right there where things could have gone tricky, because the bullets had run out. He was changing the gun, and that is the moment that, of course, could have gotten against SCL EnvyUS, but he did have his teammate right there, Feriwala, to give him that revival, and that revival will be confirmed. PUBG Minions will be going down, and SCL EnvyUS reigning in supreme with 4 kills confirmed for themselves. An interesting play being showcased from the side of SCL EnvyUS, and we've spoken about this again and again. I mean, even though this team is on the 16th spot, this team I have been looking at for quite a long time in different tournaments, and the domination that this team has been able to showcase has been ferocious. It's just that this time around, the domination has just not been working in their favor in terms of the points especially. They do end up taking the kills, but sadly, the points just do not work for themselves.
2 good rotation coming in. Talk about 4 Godawari fighters not letting themselves go straight into the circle from the southwestern side. Southeastern side rather, they are trying to take the northeastern side, where they are just expecting no teams to be there, and their expectation is just spot on. And also for the sides of the Legend, in the last game itself of Erangel, for today's game itself, we saw the shooting range area, the circle was constricting, but this time this circle will be sailing the feet for each and every team, as now 4 Godawari fighters are finding themselves on the edge of the circle, with Nepoz also trying to make a move in from the southeastern side. They are also on the edge of the circle, but rather some teams are finding themselves in the central lines of the circle. And as we just mentioned, as we talked about, still 30% of the total areas to 40% is where the oceanic region still dominates, and this circle shift will be changing a lot of course, as now the Legends are also finding themselves into the crosshair of Illuminate crew, a Rogue Nation. Everyone is just trying to take the fight, but certainly this rotation will be favoring one team, and that is going to be your 4 Godawari fighters.
Absolutely. For now, that position that 4 Godawari fighters find themselves in this zone is going to be working for them, because there is no team in the vicinity to contest that area. On the other front, when it comes down to the southern end of this entire circle, it is going to be the side of FuryX Nepoz, who are also going to be making that rotation for themselves. But down south towards Ruins, it is FOD, a team that I have been wanting to get that chicken dinner. Will they be allowed to do so in this game? We shall have to see, because when it comes to the play that is being created, it is certainly not necessarily working in FOD's favor. They do end up getting decent points for themselves. They do end up getting decent points to find themselves in the top 8, but a chicken has not been confirmed for themselves. On the other front, it seems like there are a lot of fights that will be taken on from the southern front of this zone itself, because I8 are in a fight against the players of apparently Team Ronak from the looks of it, and Team Ronak's Summer has been brought down onto his knees. No, it is not the Summer. It is not Team Ronak, because Team Ronak is close to where Para's players are, and probably is Paradox's players who are taking the domination against Team Ronak. For now, we shall have to see what the gameplay is going to be for Rogue Nation, because this is another team who find themselves at the edge of the zone, looking pretty comfortable. No team around in the vicinity at the edge of the zone. They're going to be trying to gatekeep that entire area. On the other front also, it is going to be the side of Fear 10, who are absolutely comfortable in terms of the rotation that they make in from the eastern side of the zone altogether. And in all of this, as the rotations are being made, it is I8 again and again in the kill feed, along with the Legends, who are reigning in supreme with the 14-minute marker. Third zone is where we're at.
Eliminate Trio, on the other hand, are trying to write a good script for themselves, are now then to take the fight against one big team, and that is obviously going to be off for Roll Official as Stratus goes down. But in a different fight, it is going to be the Legends, as Legend being Legends, now trying to take the fight in an open situation, that's resulting Tampe going down, and Mr. Tampe needs the revival, but it seems that revival is not going to be the case, as now entity Nepal is also having their eyes set upon, and it will be rather a wise decision as soon as Legends realizes that from different directions they are being peppered down and being hounded down, as now themselves in an open position is not going to be a good thing for the moment.
Absolutely, for now that is certainly not going to be favoring the side of the Legends, because after all, they are being pincered down, as you perfectly mentioned, Banket, from all the different directions. And of course, it was Ixcel as well as NEPAL who were pincering the team and the rotation coming in from the side of the Legends. But now, as they have been able to get themselves moving across, where exactly will they be stopping? I8's player once again into the kill feed, taking on the players of SCL EnvyUS. Interesting play being showcased from I8. The kills though, have they been able to get kills is what I would like to see. We will be answering that in just a few minutes, but this is where things could have gotten tricky, because the Legends, they've been able to make a rotation, but they are so very close to the compound of Ixcel from the bit, and it is going to be Ixcel who will try and completely stop them in their tracks. On the other front, Team Ronak also taken the party to take some points and fights for themselves.
They are certainly enjoying all these parties I just mentioned, and they're now trying to take down the players against the Legends, and in the closer vicinity it is going to be the one, but in doing so it seems that Legends are stuck in a situation. From the backhand side, Rogue Nation, from the front is going to be Ixcel. Both the teams that really looking up to rack up more and more kills, with Kayak and MVP still in the squad house. At any point, at any time, they might charge upon to the players of the Legends, and that can be maybe one bad decision for themselves, but it seems that no, they're finding themselves in the fortified area, and they need not to until and unless the circle forces them, because they are still on the edge of the circle and with the hold of these important compounds. Rather, it is going to be Rogue Nation that they have to make a move into the circle, and if they have to make a move, they better take some alternative route, because on their front is completely jam-packed.
Well, what a play this has turned out to be for the side of Paradox right here, where they are now going to be taking the fight against the players of indeed Team Ronak, and Team Ronak have been able to get that revival on the teammate that was Summer a few minutes ago. But now, as they are a 4-man squad, they're going to have to be careful, as they are being onslaughted against the side of Paradox. And Paradox's Hazer, the positioning that he's finding himself in is going to be absolutely perfect, because he's going to be able to bring in the sprays against the players of Team Ronak. And again, Viz and G1 just completely dominating with those grenades have resulted in Easy as well as Ronak going down. Someone is all by himself. He's going to have to be absolutely careful, because as soon as he tries to get his teammates well covered, he will not be allowed, and it is going to be Paradox reigning in supreme against this fight. But as they were getting themselves in that area, it is going to be Hazer with that nade being blown exactly to his face. On the other front, Alcoholic is going to be giving that revival too easy, and Ronak is also going to be trying that exact same strat. But will that be allowed or not? Because Alcoholic right here with the nade that he's been able to showcase has been able to bring down Hazer, but will that be enough? Because the nade parade coming in from the side of Alcoholic is certainly working in the dude's favor, but it seems like nevertheless Hazer will be given the revival, and the nades that are being brought on are bringing in damage. Now Viz goes down, so Paradox are in a little bit of a trouble, because Alcoholic's nades are so on point. But the two-man affair that is going to be the side of Team Ronak, they are in a pickle themselves, because the nade parade certainly is going to be working for themselves, but will they be able to take the fight? They are not. They are going to be moving away from the entirety of the saga, and G1, even though he tried to get that spray control against that rotation, making it being showcased on the side of Team Ronak, the team of Team Ronak will be able to get out of the area, will not be able to confirm a kill for themselves. Did blow a little bit of Paradox's ego, but that was pretty much it with that. 14 teams still remain, 18 minutes into the zone.
Georgia Pool Circle on the other side is always great and a treat to watch, as now we are getting towards the 19th minute of circle. The 4th circle is just taking a big toll, a huge toll onto the players, and now Ixcel are getting a lot of kill accumulated for themselves, and now Legend Esports made a push onto the players, but certainly Paradox OC really need to try to take the fight in their own hands. Grenadier is where Para is standing at this moment. Hazer, one more kill, one more knock, and that has resulted himself finding in the same situation. It was obviously Team Ronak that was trying to make a rotation, but he was not allowed to do so. But now it is going to be the question, as soon as the circle makes a shift, how are Paradox going to make a move into the circle? Because there are a lot of teams, there are 12 other teams that are just waiting for them to welcome, and it seems that all the situation, they are stuck at this point.
Well, for now, they've got the smoke working for themselves. They've got these small little rocks, or not small actually, but this little bit of the rocks that are available right around this area is going to be giving them that cover, because when it comes to their positioning, well, they are out in the open, and from one side, it is going to be Ixcel, from the other, it is going to be a Colic, but the zone is going to be favoring the side of Paradox, where all the other teams are going to have to move into the arena. Paradox are looking pretty comfortable because they are just going to have to maintain that forward front for themselves, because the back end is secure. There is going to be no team that can move on in against the back end of Paradox's positioning, so that is going to be perfect for them. But on the other front, Rogue Nation are taking on a fight. They have not been able to confirm a single kill for themselves, but Rogue Nation are certainly trying to take on a fight, and as they do so, they're going to have to be that much more careful, because the zone is what they should be focusing towards.
It is certainly the case. As soon as they find themselves on the edge of the circle, it is going to be Paradox that will be getting one more knock onto the favor of Zeus, and this is looking bleak for Rogue Nation, as now more and more teams will be coming in the same vicinity, and a complete congestion is where the stream will be facing, as now the stream, the oceanic region, the small little stream is filling with a lot of teams, a lot of players, a lot of vehicles, and they're just able to survive at any point, at any moment, with Darksyde getting control of this small little ridge. Both sides, it's sort of dip, and at that apex, Darksyde is trying to control, but in doing so, it is going to be Mahang along with Nasty that is trying to take down the players, as now Darksyde are falling down, but from different directions, they are getting a shot. Asif is taking the fight. He has done that 1v1 situation in the past. He does again, not only 1v1, he has eliminated 2 players and getting himself a domination title. 3 killers where he's standing and completely decimating the sides of Fiat 10. Fragment number 1 goes down. Evil Lord goes down. All thanks to the onslaught that is coming in from the sides of Shift, from the side of Darksyde.
Well, the fights continue on. We've got 4 Godawari fighters on our screens, with all 4 players still surviving. They are also taking in the fights for themselves, as they now pushed against the players of Entity Nepal. On the other front, Rogue Nation are also going to be chiming in along with that. Zeens Gaming getting a nade kill for himself. A Grenadier is what he has turned out to be, and in doing so has been able to confirm the point for his team. 4 kills, as we just mentioned, 4 Godawari fighters sitting at, but they are still not yet done, as they're going to be pushing on from the other tangent, from the eastern front of the zone itself. It is going to be quite a lot of fights that this team is going to be part of, but as they try and get into the fight, as they try and get into the zone, it is going to be a tricky affair, because they are giving away so much of information to their opponents, and within a matter of seconds, they've already lost one of their players, and Sabine has been knocked. He will certainly be given the revival, but will they be able to get into the comfort of, again, when this zone restricts, will they be allowed? Because they have given so much of information to their opponent teams, and Furix Nepoz is the team that is looking pretty neat for now, as this team is bringing in quite a lot of kills for themselves. FOD on the other front is also bringing in a lot of damage to the players of I-8 crew, and Paradox's G1 is taking a fight against the player of Team Ronak.
Definitely, Team Ronak is also on the receiving end, is now trying to take the fight, but Chief goes down. That means this marks the end of Darksyde, because Onslaught is just not stopping. 6 killers where Felix Nepo standing at the moment, and Eldar is again shining. He is getting his star aligned at this moment, and this marks an explosion from Felix Nepo's. Last game itself, they got the chicken, but it seems that they're just not done. They're still not satisfied. The second position from their side, they are giving a big challenge onto the face of Paradox OCN, but Paradox OCN on a different tangent, they are also not stopping, as eliminating more and more players is just the only objective from the sides of G1. Be it be Hazer, be it be Quid, be it the Eldar, everyone is just looking phenomenal at this moment. But FOD certainly not in a position where they can make and play big. But for Godawari fight, it seems that they are now holding the edge of the circle. With this shift, it's still the time where certain players from the sides of Paradox that are maroon in color, we can see on the southwestern side of the circle, they are in the circle.
Well, what a play, what a play. We've got 6 teams remaining. FOD right here on our screens. AJ trying his level best to stay alive, but will not be allowed because again he's being brought on down to his knees, and it is going to be, well, for Godawari fighters who are getting the better half, and it was Zeem Gaming who was able to eliminate AJ. And of course, for now, FOD not on to the front that they were expecting, but it is Paradox who have been able to reign in supreme from the spot that they were in. They have been pushed on just a little bit, but have gotten 7 kills confirmed for themselves. And for Godawari fighters getting eliminated thanks to, of course, FURIX Nepoz, where FURIX Nepoz are also looking absolutely destructive with 9 kills to this team. This team has been so very consistent throughout the entirety of the day. That is, of course, FURIX Nepoz, but right now, it is I8's Sanhok who has been bought, and FOD's final player Gara is going to be onslaughted from the side of Hazer, and Hazer wants to confirm the kill, but he does not know that not only 1 but 2 players are right there, I8 as well as another team that is going to be FOD, and in doing so, this has resulted in both of these players in a bit of a tricky situation because Hazer is the man who is going to be confirming those kills as soon as that vehicle blows.
They are talking, it seems that they are talking that who is going to be just surviving for the last time indeed, as now Hazer is just not letting themselves, as he's being relentless, he's just not letting that angle go away, but he needs to make sure that if he aggresses an inch towards where FURIX Nepoz is just waiting for that one small pixel, it can be a dead end for them. But it seems that FURIX Nepoz are also having their eyes set upon that small little stream where one player each from the sides of Illuminate Crew and also from the 5 sides of Face of Death are standing, but in doing so, it is going to be Rogue Nation that is going to be going into this last sort of circles with all the 4 players alive. It is also FURIX Nepoz looking pretty strong, but the 3 players from the sides of Paradox OCE, they're holding those important ridges, they are holding those important covers, and as soon as the circle shifts away from FURIX Nepoz, which I think, but no, it seems that the circle has shifted away from Paradox OCE.
Youch moment indeed for Paradox. They were looking pretty comfortable and confident, but it is going to be FURIX Nepoz who will be given the advantage right here with the 10 kills that they've been able to collect for themselves. Now they are going to have to be Paradox are going to have to be really careful as they make that rotation. They do have, he certainly does know where that perfect positioning is from the player in the water, but does FURIX have the better half of this fight? From the looks of it, they certainly do, because FURIX Nepoz, they are just bringing in a domination streak where Eldar is taking care of this eastern front. And on the other side, when it comes down to the west, it is going to be, of course, his teammates who are taking care of Rogue Nation. So an interesting play being showcased from the side of FURIX Nepoz, where they are stretched out in terms of the fight, and maybe, just maybe, that might be the reason for FURIX Nepoz's demise. But we shall have to see if they will be able to maintain this sort of a stretched out position or not. For now, it is going to be Paradox who are making that rotation into the zone with the smoke wall being created. But of course, when it comes to FOD's Gara, he did not notice that there was a player right behind him, and it was none other than Hazer, who had been completely trying to pincer them down and has been able to confirm the kill. FURIX Nepoz and Rogue Nation are the only 2 teams remaining as Paradox tried to make that rotation. They were certainly not allowed, and now it is a 4v4 situation where FURIX Nepoz as well as Rogue Nation, they are going to have to be absolutely on point. It is going to be Enduric who is absolutely trying to dominate and bring in a lot of aggressive bursts against the players of Rogue Nation's rotation. Wow. But it seems like Rogue Nation will get the better half of this fight, and they will be the ones reigning in supreme to be the king of the hill situation. But it is not yet done, because it is now a 2v3 situation where Rogue Nation have the better half of the fight. Enduric is the man who has to try and get himself first aided before he moves on into the fight, and it is Nation 7 who will complete the saga and get the kill confirmed for himself. Rogue Nation were looking not the ones to be able to dominate, but what a play they have been able to showcase in the final few moments of the game, where they were looking at just 2 kills for themselves, but then absolutely moved on along to get that chicken dinner for themselves. With 7 kills is what this team walks away with. 8th overall ranking is where they are at, with 22 points, 2069 damage dished out throughout this entire final game.
That means the team that was on the 8th may be slipping towards where Rogue Nation was initially at there. And we were talking about the comebacks from that 9 to 12 team. It seems that Rogue Nation is one that has really whistled their announce their entry.
True.
But in doing so, it is going to be them. I mean, the last sort of rotation where two players just went and tried to engulf the complete player and the complete squad of Furix Nepoz, that was really a courageous and a brave move, and that has resulted them getting a lot of points in terms of kills and also the placement points.
Well, with that, let's move on to the most valuable player coming in from this game, and this is going to go down towards Zeems Gaming. From the side of 4 Godawari fighters with 6 kills, 672 damage that he was able to participate in, and only 126 healing done in the almost 22 minutes of survival time from this game. An amazing play and start being showcased from the side of 4 Godawari fighters, no two ways about it. But as we move on to the top players, we do have Illuminate Cruise on fire right there on the second position with 5 kills and 670 damage, along with Paradox's G1 also bringing himself up onto this top players list.
G1 again featuring, I mean, this has been the stalking player. Not only him, it is going to be other players also, but in that it was Aldar from the sides of Furix Nepoz that really played it to perfection. 470 damage, 5 kill, survival time also of 20 minutes 43 seconds, and in doing so he was the one that really made it possible for the team to get that 12 important placement points. But moving on along, we have the match summary where we got to see a lot of different players from different teams. Talk about the maximum assist. It's Viral from Rogue Nation. It is obviously many other players that did chime upon in the highest kill tally. I mean, that was really looking good for the moment. It is going to be the match ranking that will be showcasing us with some different sort of stories, where Rogue Nation getting those important 7 kills, 15 total placement points, total 22 with Furix Nepoz. There is just no stopping this team.
Absolutely. I mean, talk about consistency. This team has been so very consistent in trying to catch up to Paradox, but Paradox have had a lead of their own as they try and every single game work towards those kill departments, and that is what the team was able to do in this game as well. As we move on to the second page, it is not looking too good for ZeroDeath as they were not able to participate in those fights. Out of officials, just allowing that 1 placement point is what this team is able to walk away with. Same can be said for the side of Team Ronak.
Indeed, I mean, Team Ronak also not looking good in this game itself, but the last 3 itself, it was pretty much consistent, so they must not be pretty sad about this one sad demise that did fall down. But total damage has some different sort of story. We have Rogue Nation, we have Furix Nepoz getting more damage, what we got to see from Paradox OCE.
Well, talk about Team Ronak right there. I mean, yeah, there are teams who have been absolutely reigning in supreme, but Team Ronak, this is the team that right off the bat, as we jumped into the game itself, was able to bring down a lot of fights. They were, of course, looking at that 549 damage bar is working for them, but sadly, no kills at all. So a team that we anticipate doing a lot more than what they are. Well, for now, they find themselves on the 7th spot, so that's okay. But again, they can do a lot better. On the other front, Face of Death still not allowed to get the chicken dinner whatsoever at all. But 4 Godawari fighters looking pretty neat as they are trying to bring in some decent plays for themselves. But Furix Nepoz, this is a team that is just trying to create a domination streak for themselves all by themselves. 16-point difference is all they have between them and Paradox OCE.
Definitely 16 is where they're standing, and the difference is not so much with the amount of potential, the gunpowder they're carrying. Any team can get on that #1, and that will be the storyline for tomorrow itself. But Ixcel was also looking good in terms of the total points tally, and kill leaders is where we are heading towards, as Fear 10 was also the team that was looking good at that moment. But talking about the kill leaders, we have Hazer, we had Hazer, we have Hazer, and I guess Hazer will be there at that first spot.
Well, it seems to be the case for the way the group stages were played, but now when it comes down to, of course, the regional finals itself, Hazer is creating that exact destructive streak that has been working in his favor. And of course, when it comes down to him, well, there is no stopping him. That's all that is to talk about. But on the other front, talk about Ninjurek. I mean, the side of Furix Nepoz have definitely been relentlessly pushing along from one fight to the next, and certainly has been working in this team's favor. And now they've got 4 games remaining. That's going to be, of course, all the teams, but especially keeping in mind that those 4 games could very well result in Furix Nepoz being the one to reign in supreme and get themselves that first position by the end of tomorrow. But today, well, today it is certainly going to be Paradox OCE who find themselves on that top and still looking pretty comfortable. With that, we do reach the end of our show for the day. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. Of course, it has been exhilarating ride, but now the things have gotten that much more trickier because only 4 games remain, and in that, the teams that are in the top 8 are the ones that are going to be competing. Of course, the other 8 on the bottom half of the leaderboard, well, they can try and do their level best is all I can hope for. But of course, when it comes to the playstyle, it is certainly favoring 2 to 3, 4 teams, and that is well, these are the teams we find on the top of the leaderboard, from of course Paradox to of course Fury X Nepoz to 4 Godawari fighters. It has been an amazing play. But like I said, with that we do reach the end of our day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until tomorrow, take care. Bye bye.
Here we go now. 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 Here we go now.